Hey, everybody. How is everybody doing this evening? So, today, we're talking about horror, and we got Lord Matteus with us from the Second Watch on YouTube. If you haven't checked his channel out, check him out. You probably have because, he's got a lot more subs than we do. But, but just in case, there's the link there in the chat there. But no, check out his channel. Him and Gary do a fantastic job, live streams and stuff. They have guests on like myself, So I mean, I think it's pretty good.
Well, the quality's dropped dramatically, apparently.
Well, we love having you on, man, and we love talking to all the people in the community, and we've been really appreciating all the support we've been getting in the past few months. Seems like every time we come back from North Texas Con, it's just like this, like it's just things just seems to get better. It's great. This week we got 10-car on this week, and we're just going to be talking. It's going to be a nice laid back chat. The three of us plus 10-car. Brian will be joining us and just talking about the OSR and the channels and all this other stuff. I'm looking forward to it. He seems looking forward to it as well. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
And thanks for having me on, by the way.
Really oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. So we got, so Lord Matteus is here. Jason is here as always. Stan is here. Troll Den Painting. Mike from Thunderstruck is here again. And Warden Matt, Mothership Aficionado. He changes it every couple weeks. And it's, I have to make sure that I read it.
Keep you on your toes.
It might be Victoria Matt next week.
It'll be Inspector Matt.
Who knows? So, what in the past week, hey, I finally got my Invincible box. Feels kind of anticlimactic here because it seems like everybody else who I know that ordered it got it before me. So yeah, so I finally got that. I did get the special edition hardcover though, because I really love the bloody cover.
I feel like it's got a Watchmen thing going on, kind of.
And I got a patch that I got to put on my vest here somewhere. I don't know where yet, but. I'm a sucker for cool patches. So Viltrum Empire patch there. Love it. So fun times. What somebody said Hyperborea, see?
Yeah, got
if you say it 3 times, he'll appear on the live stream.
Yeah.
That sucks. Play Hyperborea.
He's Dan is running a Hyperborea game on Monday nights, and Lord Matteus is in it.
Oh, I am happy to say and announce that Ragan Opahar is the last surviving member of the original team. I have yet to die. I'm this close to 4th level.
Nice.
I am going to own Zimbala by the time I'm done with that campaign.
Is it chance or skill?
You know what? I'm gonna leave that to the mysteries of life on that one.
you don't want to push your luck there.
Yeah, I've had some really bad rolls, but then some really good plans. I think that's kind of saved us. This just past Monday, we took on a chimera and survived.
Oh,
it was the stuff leading up to the chimera that was killing us, but it was pretty fun.
Here's a great quote for that. It's easy to survive longest as a character if you intentionally arrange for the demise of your companions.
Henchman.
He is not incorrect.
Yeah, fun times. What so I guess we'll just go around. What did you guys get this? You guys get anything in this week, Stan? You got anything come in this week? Did we lose
Stan
him?
Locked up.
We lost
Stan.
Stan.
Incredible timing.
Oh no. Mike, how about you? You get anything this week?
Well, I told you my story. I'm waiting to hear back from Derek.
Yeah.
But I got 2 copies of my Dark Space.
Dark Space.
One showed up last week, and then a second one showed up this week, accidentally. I messaged him. We'll see what he wants me to do with it.
Yeah, cool.
As for tabletop gaming, that's all I got. I won't go in the whole story, but I found this golden gem at the 99-cent bin in the record store, Richard Pryor's Greatest Hits.
Nice.
Excellent.
If I ever want to offend anybody, I can just crank it up and blast it out the window. And I dove into Sorcery Contested Realm,
Yeah.
which is a collectible card game, similar to Magic, different though. Very hard to get right now. But,
Yeah.
3 booster boxes out for. There's 3 different sets for it. I got 3 booster boxes showing up Thursday. I had to
Nice.
line to get them.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Let me know how what you think of it after.
I got to
after
tell
a
you,
while, you know.
I can only go by their multiple Discords and Reddit and everything else.
Yeah,
The people that play it swear by it. They claim they're all longtime Magic players. Said they've left Magic. This game's so much better.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
impossible to get. It's a small team of 10 guys doing it. All the artwork,
Oh, nice.
everything is hand painted. There's no digital art. There's no AI art.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
There's Frazetta art in here. There's Easley art in here.
There's a lot of old Magic artists too.
I
Yeah, a
saw
lot of
you
old
mention that in the chat last week, I think.
Yeah.
You mentioned Frazetta and Easley. I may have to check it out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, they sell. So I got these 2 sets, which are basically each one comes with 4 pre-con decks. This is the original, which is in beta still. They kickstarted it and it was alpha. This is beta, and Gothic is their newest set. And there's 4 precons in each, so I've got 8 decks here to start with and try it out. They're
Cool.
low power precon decks,
Yeah.
but it'll get I got some old players that got into Magic with me that are interested in trying it, so we may sit down one night and get a bunch of guys into it. And if they like it, rather than asking them to go spend hundreds of dollars on boxes, maybe we'll do a draft setup.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Cool.
They actually sell draft kits for it that are loaded with land and your avatars, which are like commanders.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I spent
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, it cost me $500 for the three boxes plus these was another $100 for the 2 and some mats. But so I spent
Yeah.
about $600 on it. But come on, we spend that much on a couple Kickstarters.
Yeah, that's true. I don't want to talk about that, but yeah, okay.
So we'll see.
A
I'll let you-
couple of Kickstarters. Wow.
I'll let you know. I know you guys. Most of you guys aren't really card
Yeah.
players. I know Matt is, but
Yeah, I mean, I used to play Magic, and then I don't know, I'm kind of petering out on Magic.
So if you look at the cards on this and you read through it, it very much it plays different, but it very much reminds me of old school Magic, the way the cards are designed and themed. And
yeah, that's definitely seems to be the.
you're not going to have. They said you'll never have an IP, so you're not going to have Spider-Man. You're not going to have.
Yeah.
It's all their own.
They only do one
mean-
release a year too.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
release a year. And I don't think they're doing one this year because usually they do it around November and they don't have one announced. They have a small little 2 more pre-cons coming out, but I don't know if they're doing a set right away.
Yeah, there was a really good bundle when Gothic came out that I almost pulled the trigger on a whole bunch of times and
Yeah.
didn't. And then when I finally was going to, it was gone. But
They did a little Dragon Lord set that only had 24 cards and it was very
yeah,
limited.
super valuable. Yeah.
It's like $500
I'll have to check it out.
just for
Yeah.
those 24 cards right now.
Yeah. I have a problem with those kind of games where I can't play them like not seriously. So I'm always afraid to buy anything
I
because it's
know.
like a slippery slope.
Because you'll
Yeah,
be like me, you start
is.
out,
Yeah.
your first purchase is $600 and then
Yeah,
you
right.
just keep going from there. I know.
No, I'm the same way.
I
So
looked, I showed you that one link, Matt. These cards actually still have quite a bit of value.
Oh, I know.
Singles do. You
Yeah.
know, I can open those boxes and pull $300 to $700 cards out of it, which you're not getting that with modern Magic. There might be one card in a set, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either ways, I looked at Magic quite a bit in the last 2 years, thinking about getting back into it, teaching my kids, and I just could not stand it anymore. I didn't like the sets. I didn't like the way it looked.
Do you think the issue? I mean, well, there's a lot of issues. I think I haven't played Magic since the '90s.
Right, me either.
I started dropping money on it, and I was like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
are cards. What am I doing?" I backed off, and then I found a different addiction, and that was Warhammer 40K. And I'm still weaning myself off of that. But did you think the problem with Magic nowadays is the IPs that they're acquiring and turning into cards? Or
I do. I mean, I looked at the original stuff. Like, I think about when we started back in beta, and I think about all those cards that I played with then. There's very few of them that are even included in modern Magic. I mean, you just I don't know. It's just a totally different.
It's 30 years of power creep.
I know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of it's okay. You know, like, I mean, the Lord of the Rings thing, I think is like a decent fit for it. You know, for Magic, it sort of fits into the theme or whatever. But like, I don't know. They started, you know, doing the cyberpunk stuff, and then now they got, you know, the Marvel stuff, and they're doing Star Trek. Yeah,
but you and I can look at that theme and say, "Oh, Lord of the Rings fits." But how does the Magic community feel about it? Because people lost their shirts on Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
you know, we could look at it and say, "Oh, it's a D&D theme in Magic. It's going to do good."
So
people lost a lot of money on that.
Yeah, that set was crap.
OPR looks pretty good for a Warhammer replacement. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Oh no, I didn't even know what he was referring to. That's
Matt, OPR. Somebody made a set of rules called one-page rules. That's not one page, but I think the basic rule it was, I guess, and then now like the basic rules is like 6 pages. I think the whole thing's like 20 pages, and it's basically a set of rules where you can use, like, they've got all the factions and everything from Warhammer with the serial numbers filed off, and it's miniature agnostic. So you can kind of use whatever setup you want. And it's very similar to the Warhammer rules. And they have very similar like troop setups and rules and all, you know, so that you could use your Warhammer armies, you know, to play it, but you don't have to. So, you know, it can be cheaper.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah. I remember back in the late 90s playing second edition Warhammer 40K. And really wishing that they would do a little bit more with each of the factions to give them a little bit more identity mechanically. And boy, be careful what you wish for, because talk about power creep over the past like 20, 30 years. It's gotten really bad to the point where I just think the game is unplayable. And it's more like back in the second and third edition days, yeah, you'd have the tough units, but tactics and strategy still mattered. Now, I feel like, you know, I stopped playing in 7th, 9th edition. But now I feel like it's more like stacking a Magic deck. If you have that one combo, you're just going to crush. And it's not fun anymore because there's no tactics. It's just, oh, look, I spent all this money on plastic crack, and now I'm going to win the game. And it's just like, ugh. So
yeah, I've
been selling all my poorly painted miniatures online just to get rid of them. I'm tabletop RPG from now on.
Yeah, right. The last time I played was 3rd edition, and it was like, and I don't know, and I had issues then with the group, with people at some of the game stores and stuff that wanted to play that were like, you know, you're not. Well, not just that, but like, I mean that, but also like, oh, your Space Marines aren't, you know, the right color blue, you know, they're not Chaos blue or whatever. They're not Space Marine blue, whatever the color is, right? You like, and I'm like, yeah, because I used craft paints because I spent, you know, $60 on the starter set, and like I had to use, you know, cheap paint. I didn't have you know,
I just leaned into it.
Oh my God, I know.
When when my friends who are much better painters than I were making fun of one of my sergeants. They're just like, you guys got googly eyes. And I'm like, yeah, so I just named him Captain Crazy Eyes Argothi.
Yeah, there you go. And then now, like the miniatures that I had back then, you can't even use, like, they're the wrong size now.
I know that.
Even
really
like because the scale, we talk about power creep, but in like Warhammer, like you've got scale creep, whereas the 3rd edition was pretty close to like 25 millimeter. You know, scale, and then it got like to 28, and now they're at like 30 or like 32 millimeter for, you know, for some of the single the single guys, and it's like, or even bigger in some cases, and it's just ludicrous. So
honestly,
yeah,
I find that stuff kind of ridiculous. I know I give you crap about your minis, Roger, but
yeah,
listen, if you just want to print minis in solid color and put them on your table and play your D&D game, have at it. You know?
Yeah, right.
I'm not going to do
I
it.
appreciate that, Mike.
I'm going to paint my stuff, but
I'm
not
clipping
everybody
that
is.
part of the video.
Are you?
Yeah. Is giving up
Back for you.
is giving up magic for Warhammer like saying like heroin's not for me, but this meth stuff sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes, that's exactly how that works.
That's what it ended up being. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I finished going around. Jason, you get anything this week?
I did. I also got my copy of Invincible.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, as you know, I really waffled back and forth on getting that. I wasn't sure I wanted to. Invincible is, you know, the cartoon is.
I had thought
me.
that you canceled it because I remember you backed it because it was Free League, and then I remember that you canceled it, and then it showed up, and I was like, "Wait, you canceled that?"
Yep, I canceled it. You know, I am not completely immune to the fear of missing out. I am largely immune to it. There's a lot of things I just don't give a crap about, and I'm just not going to. In fact, you posted some stuff in the chat earlier this week, and I was like, not interested. You know, we were playing a superhero game at the time, and you know, it's Free League, so I'm like, well, it's going to be a good product regardless.
Yeah.
I got it, and I looked at it, and I was like, this is probably going to get donated to the con next year, but we'll see. I went to Millennium Games today. I had to go to Rochester for my car. And I found this on the shelf. So very happy about this. I didn't even know it was published. I've never seen it on Free League's website. So I snatched it up. Very happy about that. I did start reading.
Which one's that, Jason?
This is the Realms of the Three Kings. So it, from what little bit I was able to focus on and read, it's the elves between the war, you know, the Lord of the Rings war, after they banish the Saruman the first time. So, you know, it's the three rings that Celebrimbor, I think, is the one that hid them. He had the three rings that he made, and he hid them away from Saruman. So it's about those guys.
I didn't know that was out either.
Yeah, and really, that's all I can tell you because I haven't had time to read it all. I started reading it, and in typical Lord of the Rings fashion, it's a million names that are weird and don't roll off the tongue easily. And I'm like, I need to take crib notes on this. But I'm still very happy to have it. So adding to my One Ring collection. And that's it.
Nice.
That's all I got this week. Yeah,
nice
and easy.
Matt, how about you? Warden Matt, sorry.
Yeah,
gotta keep
I got
track.
a few things. No, you're good. So I can't remember if I showed you guys this before, but I just saw a review go up about it. So it's Dungeon Inc. It's a Merry Mushman game. It's their first like original game. So it's basically Dungeon Keeper, the RPG. If you remember Dungeon Keeper. So you're basically like the lead henchman in a dungeon, and the enemies are the adventurers that are
the
coming
heroes coming down to invade your home.
The video game Dungeon Keeper.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
yeah. And it's typical Merry Mushman.
Cool.
It's like amazing art, really nice layout. So I got to dig into that a little bit more. And then I got this was some. I'm probably gonna regret buying this, but I saw a review that kind of pulled me in. It's the Stone Top. It's this huge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it.
I saw that. I waffled on that.
Yeah, I bet there's stuff I can pull from there that'll be more for a system. I'm just the system. I'm not in love with.
That was that on like Kickstarter or anything? Or
like 10 years ago, like forever. Like it was like some super long. Took them forever to bring out.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, and then
but it's expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like $120. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, hey, the going rate on PDFs is $180 now. Apparently,
it's
so
like
$120 for this isn't so bad, right?
But it's like a Dolmen Wood type of setting, right?
Yeah, it's powered by the Apocalypse system. That's my.
I'm out.
I sort of have fallen out of love with that system.
I'm out. It's done. It's over.
Yeah, sorry.
No one cares anymore.
Speaking of, so Blade 68 also came in finally, which is the Blades in the Dark reskin for like the 60s that never was.
Let me know, because I looked at that and I was almost interested in it, but I don't really have a group that'll play like a lot of those, games. So, I don't want to get too many. Like I bought the Cyberpunk one, but I saw that and I'm curious about it. So let me know.
And then the last thing is, I know you guys, I showed you this, but I did the print on demand Shadow Dark project
yeah.
I spent a week working on, where I took all the player facing stuff from all the Shadow Dark material and reorganized all of it. So it goes rules, all the rules stuff, then all the character creation stuff, and then all of the classes in order with all of their associated
renumbered all the
spells.
pages.
Yeah, I
everything,
redid
too.
all the page references, so everything points to the new pages. And it's the coil bound, so it lays flat on the table. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to start playing some more Shadow Dark. I'm gonna be running a little bit of it at Page and stuff. So I just wanted to. Yeah.
How many pages?
320 pages.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I and then at the end it has all the deities and all the new factions. Yeah, so I don't like. I mean, first of all, the new book isn't out yet, so having to hop between like a PDF and a physical book, and then at least the new book pulls together the stuff from all the curse scrolls, but then still you have the new spells, like the alignment based spells are in one book, and then all the other wizard and priest stuff is in another book. So I wanted all that stuff, like give me the wizard class and give me all their spells and give me the alignment spells and give me the mishaps. So then if I need, with the new classes, if I need to PDF print off for somebody at the table, like now it's all in order. I don't have to go hunt for like, oh, the witch's spell book is here, but the mishap table is here. It's like all together.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And I think that's going to be like, and I've said it before, right? Like, I think that what they're going to have to do is down the road, like a year down the road after Western Reaches is all out, they're going to have to do a Shadow Dark complete edition or something.
Well,
so that people don't need to go through 5 different books for everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I kind of want to do the same thing with the DM materials, right?
Yeah.
And then she's got monsters kind of pop. So it's almost like there should be 3 books. Like one could be for the players, and then one could be for the DM, and then maybe all the monsters could be. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
Where have we seen that format?
So, but that's it for me.
Lord Matteus, how about you? You get anything? Cool
well, I didn't
this week, or
I
know,
don't have
I know.
within reach, but
Yeah,
actually, when I was at VentureCon a week or so ago, I got a bunch of stuff from the Red Room. They donated.
Oh, cool.
And it was kind of like a swap. So there were some games I had that I knew I wasn't going to play or I had no real interest in, so I kind of traded them out. But the Red Rooms. So those who don't know, they started off with this thing called Wretched RPG. I actually helped. I consulted on it when the OGLs thing happened, so they could make it less OGL.
Yeah.
And then past like 2 years, they've Miguel has now a more even streamlined, further divorced from the OSR. They just call it the Red system. It's no levels, really streamlined like skills and stuff. I absolutely love their books because even if you don't like the system, like they're just great resources. Like Wretched Interbellum is one of my favorite books of theirs, and it's just talking about between 1917 and the start of World War II, and it's like all that's like Indiana Jones era, like all this great pulp adventure stuff. Secret societies and all kinds of things, and
Jason's going to buy it right now.
So when you get to Red Rooms, they you can play anti-hero, so they even have they let you do things that you might not see in a normal more mainstream. But anyway, I got a bunch of their stuff, including one that's really based on their like the Giallo films from like the 50s and 60s and 70s. So that was really exciting to get because I just love, and I've been writing for them on and off for a few years now. So, but
Nice.
that's like the big things I've gotten. I'm waiting for a bunch of stuff. I did not back or pre-order whatever the Invincible, and I'm a huge fan of Free League. And Jason, to your point, like I've had to like wean myself from the fear of missing out as well because like I really like what Free League does. But I'm a Marvel TSR guy. Like if I'm gonna play Supers, that's the game I'm gonna play. So
Okay.
I feel good about not picking up Invincible, but someone showed it to me at AdventureCon because they got their book like really early, and I was like, wow, this does look kind of good. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
yeah, if you ever wanted to have like a Marvel Year Zero engine game, like it, the stuff in there is generic enough you could recreate most of the Marvel characters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
And DC as well. I was just glancing at it, and one of the classes that's already in there is the Speedster. I mean, it's obviously the Flash. And when you talk Speedster, you're gonna be talking the Flash, but I mean, it's obviously the Flash.
Well, it's
So
have you read the comic?
Have you ever
or
seen
watched the
Invincible?
cartoon, Jason?
Yeah.
No, I saw one episode, and I'm a huge fan of the Punisher, especially Garth Ennis's Max line, which is extremely violent. I don't know why that doesn't bother me, but Invincible, it was just violent to me that I couldn't watch it.
Oh,
man.
it's violence just to make it bloody and violent.
Yeah,
Sure.
The first episode basically has the Justice League,
but
so I mean,
it's the Justice League. It definitely is. Yeah.
So
it's
I don't know what about it is like turns me off to it, but I've still got it. Still going to give it a try because, like I said, it's Free League, man. I'm willing to check out almost anything they do.
Yeah. They've been doing. Yeah, I've been describing them as sort of like the dark horse in the industry. Like they're just been doing their own thing, and only people who are really in the know what they're doing. And like I'm a sucker for their One Ring. So I'm a little jealous that you got that book. I'm gonna have to go hunt it down now. But I've been collecting that. I absolutely love the Forbidden Lands, at least the rule set. I do want to like import it into my own world because their world is a little too dark, too gray goo, no real morality. But anyway, they just in that the Year Zero game engine, like they just we're gonna take this and play it in this genre and just tweak it here, and it works. Like I love Vossen. Vossen's fantastic. So they do a fantastic job. I like that, like you said, like they tweak it. They don't just use the same system, carbon copy the system, and that's it. They tweak it or make some changes to it. They're not afraid to say, okay, we're going to tweak this enough where it's not 100% compatible with everything else. Right. And, just, hey, this needs this, so we're going to do this with it. Whether it's, using increasing die steps or what, and it just changes the system enough, but it fits the theme of whatever they're building. And they've just done an absolute fantastic job at like everything they've touched. It's crazy. So, fantastic. Good times. So Dragonbane Elric, that's going to be coming, and a lot of stuff. So that I'm going to have a problem holding back on. So I'm already saving my pennies for the next Lamentations release, which is going to be, as Raji described it, eye-wateringly expensive. And I don't know. I get wanting to like revisit Carcosa because it's such a crazy book, but I don't know, man. 15-page adventures are cool too.
Yeah, right.
Just give me a pamphlet. I'll pay $15-$20 for it.
Sure.
Whatever.
I think he said it's $140.
Yeah, but I'm a collector, so I'm looking at the
times 3,
all 3 books with the slipcase. I'm like, I actually said to my wife, I'm like, I think I know what I want for Christmas. And she just looked at me like, you can't be serious. Like, I kind of am.
Well, if you don't want
your wallet weeps.
If you don't want stupidly expensive, then stay away from Hackmaster.
Oh my God! Yeah,
$180 for the PDFs, and
that's just crazy.
What was it? $290.
$290 for the books. Yeah.
$290 for the books.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. So today we're talking about horror. What is Nightbot ever? Yeah, well, they'll be coming out with more stuff. Soon.
I did just order the Arduin box from them, waiting for that to come in.
Oh, the Harbinger?
Yeah.
Box set? it looks fantastic. It looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so that's shipping in September. As always, they're a sponsor of the channel. We got some cards and some stuff that we can give away. Yeah, Hackmaster, crazy, wild pricing. It's nuts. But yes, we're talking about horror today, and we got Lord Matteus here because he actually wrote some of this stuff here. The Living Darkness, Volume 1, which means there's more coming, right?
Yes.
And this is for Shadow Dark. Obviously, you could fit it into any kind of OSR system. Shadow Dark is really easy to convert to anything if you wanted to. And it's good stuff. And the PDF is $10, I think, on
Yes.
drive through. And there's a POD option as well, right? Is that?
Yeah, it's
And
like
that's
I think with like the color, it's like just like around $21, something like that. I tried to price it inexpensively because this hobby gets pretty expensive, and
does it?
So I just want people to enjoy, like, in the Living Darkness, like the theme is like horror anthology, like the movies VHS, if you ever watch those.
Yeah.
Creep Show, Twilight Zone, that sort of thing. So there's 4 adventures in it, varying lengths. Most of them came from like game jams I got involved in years ago, but you have like a page limit, and I had all these ideas, some of them good, some of them bad, but I'm like, I really want to like develop them. So I just expanded on those and then started play testing them and just stripped out what didn't work. And then this is the final product. And I'm pretty happy with it as far as like a out the gate kind of thing. I learned a lot because this is the first time I actually published on my own. Normally I just like write a manuscript and I send it to Miguel. I'm like, hey, what do you think? And he's like, I'll publish it. I'm like, thanks. I don't have to do the layout and stuff. So this was like a learning experience for me. So if you notice anything weird, but anyway,
I have already. I don't want to list them. I don't want to list them out on air and call you out though.
But yeah. So
no, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun putting together, and I'm looking forward to like kind of diving further. Like Volume 2, the theme is going to be curses, and I'm taking a look at how curses work and try to actually make restoration not as uber OP as it is in the book. It's a level 3 spell, and if anybody's cursed or whatever, you just cast it and they're no longer cursed. I'm like, well, curses are fun. Curses are like where things can really be crazy for your players, and a lot of horror resides there. So we got to nerf that a little bit, just a little, make it a little more challenging. And then it's just got a ton of cursed items, ways to develop curses, and just some of my thoughts on what a curse really is and how it can be, mechanically used in your game. So
yeah,
I don't know when I'm going to be done with that, but I'm about a third of the way, half of the way done. So
okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, no, can't wait. How many do you have? Like several volumes planned, or is it just 1, 2?
Yeah,
or is this
Volume 3 was going to be more of a gothic horror themed one.
Okay.
But I don't want to do this. Is like 130 pages. I don't want to have like these massive. Is this even a zine? It's a book, right? So I'm going to try to keep it like Volume 2 is going to try to be around 60 pages. So I'm going to try to do that with Volume 3. But I have a lot of ideas for gothic horror. I actually have one of the first adventures I ever wrote for 5e back in the day. I took it off a drive-through after the OGL debacle. I said, screw you guys. But I'm going to rewrite that for Shadow Dark, and that's going to be part of it. So that's going to be more gothic horror, classic, with like gear for like the 1800s. So you're going to have some pistols. And I want to get into kerosene lamps because I'm with Sandy Peterson. In D&D, people use their oil flasks as bombs when they really shouldn't, because it's not that flammable, you know what I mean? But a kerosene lamp is. So it's gonna have stuff like that. And then Volume 4, this is still very conceptual. It's just gonna be dedicated to the haunted house. Came out 10 years ago, The Haunting of Hill House. I just thought that was a brilliant piece.
Is that 10 years ago?
I think so, yeah. Just a brilliant piece of
Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, just brilliant. It's not just spooky and scary at times, but also really emotional. And I'm just got me really thinking, what a haunted house really is and what it is to be haunted.
If you haven't seen him, he did a couple others after that.
The Blythe House one, I did watch that one.
There's that one.
Oh, and then didn't he do Fall of House Usher? I saw that one too.
That one I didn't watch. There's one in between that. Before Fall of House Usher, that's very religious themed with vampires and stuff like that.
Midnight Mass.
Yes.
That's brilliant. I absolutely love that. That one was just like, oh, fantastic.
So this is awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to picking up, more of these as they come out. Obviously, I full disclosure, I won this one, so I got it for nothing. I did buy the PDF though, but then I was fortunate enough to win a copy on Jeff's stream, Bad News Bards there on his giveaway stream. So I didn't have to purchase this. I mean, I would have bought it anyway, but it's got some cool stuff in here, and and this is like part of like today. Obviously, we're talking about horror, right? So I really my issue with horror is that like for some reason it always turns into like if I try and run a horror game, it always turns into like a campy kind of joke. You know what I mean? It's just like people are laughing and giggling, and I mean, and that's fine, right? To a certain degree, right? Because sometimes that's the game you want to play, right? You want to play the Scooby-Doo mystery horror or whatever, right? But sometimes like I really wish that I could run like a game and make it so that it was actually like, so that the players are actually spooked, or whatever. And, Mike and I talked a little bit about this earlier, briefly about different, ideas.
I think traditional D&D RPGs handle horror horribly. There's nothing really in there. I mean, so if you get into 2E Ravenloft, they start to introduce horror and fear checks, and they go a little ways into it, but not far enough, I don't think. I mean, your first level adventure is headed out, and they run into that encounter with skeletons crawling out of the ground or zombies coming at them. They should be freaking terrified. And I get it. You could say, well, they're hardened adventures, but they're not yet. They're first level low lifes, and they should probably, it should be one of those things kind of like very much like Delta Green, where you're terrified at first, and the more exposure you get to it, the less it's going to affect them. And eventually it would get to the point where they're no longer scared by that kind of stuff. But the first time a specter rises up out of some grave or something, they should still be equally terrified.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, oh yeah, okay, all right, everybody pull out their magic weapons. All right, yep, we got.
I did that once. I was playing with a group that was one of 3 players, and we had a DM, so 4 of us total. And I was playing a first level rogue, and I made it clear that this dude is not a thief. I was trying to play him like Indiana Jones. He's an explorer, and he just wants to go out and see things. We go into this cave. We're in there 5 minutes, and a hand reached out and grabbed onto my leg. It was a skeleton. And so my character, I screamed and ran away. The other 2 characters were furious. And I don't mean like they were furious at my character. Those 2 players were furious at me for running away. And I'm like, guys, I've never left town before. I go into this cave, and the first thing that happens is something grabs me. I'm running away. But that's just not what most players want to do, myself included. If I'm playing a fighter, the first thing I'm going to do is whip out a sword or a mace and bash it.
Yeah.
I think undead things creeping out. That should scare me.
I would have loved that if I was DMing you. I would have loved that. I think one of the problems with fear and horror in RPGs is that you're running into the game mechanics, and that immediately separates you, the player, from the character, and that's a good thing. We don't want to turn into Tom Hanks from that movie, right? But we do want to be immersed. I agree with Venture Satanis on this. The goal is immersion. We want to feel like we're there. We want to get excited about our characters. We want to be dialed in. And whether it's a horror adventure or whatever, like you just killed the evil god king, and everyone is saved, and you feel like a hero for 5 seconds before you get up and grab some more Cheetos, right? We want that feeling, and I think, and I think what the problem is, earlier D&D, the mechanics were there for fear, but not in a roll save versus fear kind of way, but mechanics were there to make the players scared. The problem is, the game was still in its infancy. I think they were still trying to figure out what this RPG thing is that they created. So you really don't, that there's not enough advice there. Ward and Matt, I'm actually about to launch a Mothership campaign. So I've been reading Mothership like crazy the past few days. And I got to tell you, the Warden's Operation Manual is an awesome manual. Holy crap. When I first got it, like a couple years ago when I did the Kickstarter, I just kind of glanced at it. I'm like, oh, this is cool, whatever. I'll play it eventually. Well, now I actually sat down and read it. And it's a great primer on how to run a horror scenario. It's really good. And it's got nothing to do with mechanics. It's everything to do with the presentation. I agree with Tenkar had a video on this, and I did a video on my channel a little while back. You want to scare your players while playing first edition Dungeons and Dragons or OSE or anything like that? Just tell them that you're not pulling punches when the level drain comes out. That is the most perfect horror mechanic, because you've been busting your ass. You're now finally 6th level, and then you get attacked by a wight, and you're just like, uh-oh, it hit me. Well, now you're 5th level. You know what I mean? That will scare your players. They might get a little frustrated and angry with you, but that's, that comes with the territory. They might get frustrated and angry with you because your goblin rolled a nat 20 and did like 8 points of damage or something. But that is an excellent fear mechanic. And so it's really about telegraphing, just like you would a trap, telegraphing like what's coming. When you walk into that white lair, the player should know that it's a white lair. What they should know, it's an ancient tomb, and this actually happened in Hyperborea just yesterday. It's an ancient tomb. It's kind of cold and creepy. There's a big sarcophagus, and it could be opened, and our dumbasses opened it. But that's all telegraphing. And I knew in the back of my head, this isn't good. Like, I started feeling the anxiety as a player, as a person. I'm like, this isn't good. We shouldn't be doing this. But I'm your average D&D guy. I want to press the big red button and see what happens. Yep.
Make undead great again.
It's my video.
it's interesting. The fierce, like, mechanics. You want to do it right. You want to do it so that the mechanics don't get in the way and make the players want to stay away. And I see like more in like recent games where, the typical, right, the D&D and stuff where like, oh, you make like a fear check or whatever, and then you like fail it and you just like run away. And it's like, because like dragons or whatever, they have like frightful presence or whatever. And it's like, it takes away like the players like charge in. They're all like, okay, yeah, we're going to go in, we're going to charge in, and we're going to kill the dragon or whatever. And then they run in and like everybody's got to make a save. And then, people, fail. And then they're like, they all charged in, but they're like, oh, I got to run the opposite direction now for 3 rounds. Like, sorry guys, I'll be back in 3 rounds. Like,
it's almost like the mechanics are more of a prompt, right? Like, you're supposed to be afraid now, and you're like, okay,
Roger, I got a way to fix that. It's a way to merge the table with the mechanics.
Yeah.
So you bought one of those dice Joe Block had, right? The big metal D100s.
Yeah.
Size of
I
a
can
golf.
see it. I can't reach it, but yeah.
Big as a golf ball and weighs 5 pounds.
Yeah.
So every time they fail a fear check, whip it across the table, crack them in the head. They'll be fucking terrified from then on. Every time they run into undead, they'll be like ready to just run away in fear.
No, I think like to Matt's credit, right, in this, like I like in the it's Astonshire Keep, is that the name of it? The first one? You've got the timer with the witch. So it's not like a random encounter, but it's the chart, and it's a D12 chart, and nothing happens on 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then like 5, 6, 7, 8, it adds +1 to the roll cumulatively, and it's like just nothing, like noises and stuff. and then like on 13 the witch attacks, right? Spoilers, by the way. But I like that can't, like, the witch can't attack on the first roll, right? And if you roll a 1, 2, 3, or 4, like, she won't attack on the second roll, or what, makes it. And it's just like the longer the players kind of spend and the more time, like, so I think that like makes the players not want to, screw around and say, oh, let's go in like this room, and then we'll go in this room and search this, and like, yeah, you guys want to spend time searching this room? Yeah, sure. Oh, I'm just going to keep rolling on this chart, and it kind of puts the players into a mindset where they're not, scared or whatever, but it puts them on task to, like, shit, we got to get through this, and like, and I think that helps put, set that mood of, we need to get through it. It, like, Cypher system, they have, and I'm not a big Cypher system fan, but their horror thing, they have like horror mode or whatever, and their crit fail becomes like a 1 or a 2, and then every time they roll a 1 or a 2, that's when like the bad guy attacks, and then it increases. So then it's a 1, 2, or 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And so like the longer that the players are in the game, the more, the more likely they are to fail at what they're doing, and the, get, something bad to happen. So it kind of keeps the goofiness out of it, so I think like timers like that help. And I think you did a fantastic job with, the witch table there. So
yeah, well, I think, going back to like the mechanics and the mechanics, and then the story side of the game, the role playing, the mechanics is like this, like where the rubber meets the road, and I think that is the sweet spot. If you can design, whether it's a house rule or you're designing your own game, if you can figure, even, it doesn't even have to be horror, like if you can figure out how you can bridge that divide between player and character with the mechanic, you've hit on something. And what triggered this thought for me, because I used to play, and I still play it, like I love Call of Cthulhu, but like sanity hit points, to me, as soon as I start taking sanity loss, I'm like, okay, I'm out of the game. I'm jotting down some numbers, and then I got to get back into it. And I love it. I'm a huge Call of Cthulhu fan, but when I played Alien RPG,
yeah,
every time you put another stress die in your pool, and just hearing as you're about to roll all these dice, you're like, oh god. Like I've seen it.
Yeah, and they're bright yellow. The dice are bright yellow, in contrast to the black, and so like you see them, you're like, oh, these are there, and you can see it grow, and it definitely adds in your brain. You're like, oh, this is bad.
Exactly. That anxiety, a fraction of the anxiety that your character is experiencing is actually you're actually experiencing.
Yeah.
I've seen it. One of the first times I played it, a buddy of mine, Cody, God bless him, he really leaned into it, because his character was just like getting stressed left and right, to the point where I think he was rolling more stress dice than skill dice. And he turned into Bill Paxton's character. He's like, game over, man. And he's like panicking. Right. And every time he had to do something, he would just look at me, and there would be this oh shit look on his face. And I'm like, this is it. This is the mechanic that's able to do the thing that I've been wanting to see, so it's, but those mechanics are few and far between, I think. And that's why I'm so adamant about level drain, because that will scare the crap out of even the most veteran, OSR guy. They're like, oh shit, be careful. Do we have magic items? Do we have holy water? Is there a cleric present? Maybe we should rethink this, guys. So.
Yeah, I'm sort of on the fence with that. Like I get what you're saying. I agree with you. But there's also, like, on the other side of it, where you have players that, like, they spend, they'll spend 6 months getting from level 5 to level 6, and then you smack them down to level 4, and now they spend, not 8-9 months or whatever, right, to get back to level 6, and then here goes this thing, you know what I mean? And it's like you move ahead, fall back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and it's like I think there's part of it where, like, I don't know, I like some players, I think you're like, okay, we lost, like, we've played for 2 years, and I've lost a total of 1 level. You know what I mean? Like I've gained 6 levels, but I'm 1 level less than I started at, you know, because I lost 7 or whatever. And so I think some of that is 6 months. Yeah, I don't know whether that's a shock of 6 months is too long to go from level 5 to 6,
Well, it's
or
5e.
too short.
You'd be 2 campaigns in at that point, right?
Yeah, right. But yeah, so like I don't know. So like I've always been soft, I guess, on level drain, and I've kind of had it so that it like maybe takes a week per level to, like, you know, naturally kind of come back, you know.
Yeah,
but that's my take. And I mean, call me a pussy if you want. That's okay. I'm okay with that.
I won't go that far.
So my take on this, though, and I think a lot of people seem to forget it, but early D&D made it very easy for you to recover things, like dying. Like Raise Dead was an easy spell. You could get it pretty early in the game. I mean, restoration's a little harder, but level draining undead, you're not usually reaching at low level. You get to any larger size city, and they're going to have a priest there that could do it. It's just money. You know, it really comes down to the ability to, I don't know. It sucks. It does, without a doubt. If you just lost 2 levels that took you a year to get, it sucks. If you have a DM that's not going to allow you to recover that, then maybe that's a bad way to go. But as long as there's a possibility for recovery, short of just regaining the levels over the next year,
right,
not really that big of a deal. You can turn it into a whole adventure. The adventure could be, hey, we don't have the money, but the church needs this, and we got to go do this for the church to recover his level.
Sure.
Yeah. And I agree with Mike what you just said there. Like a lot of players and people who complained or have argued against level drain mechanics. I think that they're only looking at it in this sort of narrow scope. And I was just talking about this in one of my Gods of the Forbidden North videos. I think it was the second video. I was like, there are a lot of things in all these books that I think aren't utilized as much as they should, like finding a sage who could give you the information that you're looking for, right, with just a little bit of money, right? And like you're exactly right, Mike. Like, I'm a 9th level fighter, and now I'm down to 6. Oh, this sucks. This is not fair. Yeah, but you have allies in the church. Maybe they can help you. Go role play, and figure it out.
And to be honest, depending on how it's been telegraphed, if you know what you're going into, go see that sage first.
Yeah.
Hey, we heard.
How do we fix this afterwards? Yeah.
Or not even just that. Like we heard about this tomb, and there's these spooky things about it. We don't know what's there, and the sage is like, "Whoa, for 500 gold pieces, I can tell you exactly what it is." I think the sage is like such a I call it the guilt-free lore dump. Right? No one wants to read the 5-page player backstory, right? But players don't want to read your 15-page lore of your world. But if they go to a sage, you get to drop the lore on them. Oh, well, whites exist because, the god of blah, blah, blah did this thing. And now that so-and-so is cursed, and now there's whites, and they drain your level. So if you go into that tomb, be careful. Take this with you, So,
yeah. Go ahead.
I gotta be honest. Level drain's like one of my least favorite things in RPGs because it's so meta. It's too meta for me. Like, it's sort of like what you were saying about sanity points. Like what is a level? Like you're draining a level. Like, you could say, I'm aging your character 10 years, or I'm erasing your memories, so you're gonna temporarily forget all the spells you learned adventuring the last 6. Fine, that is contextually makes sense inside the game. But saying I'm draining a level, to me takes me out of the game because it's too meta for me. I don't disagree with you. It's one of the scariest things you can do to somebody, because for most people, time is one of our most valuable resources. So you're basically telling the player, I'm stealing your time, and I'm making the time you spend is now wasted, which is terrifying. But I feel like it's a meta thing that kind of frustrates me.
So I will admit one thing. There was one time when we were playing Castle and Crusades, I tried a new system with it, and we used it, and the players actually liked it. And it's kind of along the same lines of how 5e handles it, but a little different. The way I did it was a level drain was instead permanent necrotic damage. So you basically roll a hit dice worth of damage. Instead of losing a level, you would lose a hit dice worth of hit points permanently. You could either get them restored,
Wow.
or you played the rest of your life minus those hit points.
Yeah, see, I like that better. I do agree with you about what you said about like questing for like seers or for the help of a deity. Like that's one thing that I like about DCC is that's kind of built into DCC, the idea that like, you know, you're going, if you play long enough, you're going to need to atone to your deity. You're going to need to do stuff to get your luck back. You're going to need to do these things kind of in between adventures. It's almost like their version of downtime. And you're right. I think most games probably don't do that enough anymore. So
Yeah, because they just it's dungeon. You go dungeon to dungeon or whatever.
You take a long rest and you're back. Everything's back.
Or that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Would
like
this
the
guy
idea.
make you run in fear?
Oh my god.
You ran into him?
Matt, I like the idea you hit on talking about like age drain or whatever, taking years like from the player, like not take from the player, but from the PC. Like I love instead of doing like a level drain thing.
That's in there already. That's
is it?
Ghost.
Yeah, ghosts do that.
Yeah,
Add
but depending on the system you're running, so Dragonbane like has mechanics around that. And so do some other systems. So if the system actually has some kind of attribute damage or something that happens to you as a result of progressing from the age band you're into the next one, there can be a mechanical detriment to your character there that doesn't feel as like meta to me as I've just taken
not
a
even
level
just
from
that,
you.
but you're closer to death. Like those are like hit points that you can't get back.
Yep.
Like if your character's 20, right, and you figure okay, your human is going to live to like 60 plus 1d20 years. Like now you've got basically 40 hit points, right? That that every time you come across undead or whatever, they steal years from you. Like if you keep doing that, like eventually you're going to age out. You're just going to die.
Yeah.
Well,
that was like the that was the thing about like the ghosts touch attack, right? Humans, it's like 1d4 times 10 years. So humans, it's like big deal.
Yeah.
Dwarves are kind of like don't like it. Elves are just like whatever.
Yeah.
So it can't. Those can be, those can be dangerous, and that's why I think in other books, especially in like Dark Sun, you started seeing ghost variants. So like elves were actually like, oh, we don't want to deal with a ghost. But yeah, I do like that. But I just go back to gold for XP. You'll get your levels back.
Yeah. I like gold for XP. Yeah.
You could also, if you really wanted to, you could also handle it very simply just by giving saving throws. You could make it a saving throw versus death or something. If you fail, you lose the level. If you don't, you just take your damage.
Yeah.
Dan likes. He's talked about this before. He likes doing attribute drain, and then he has different like whites and stuff that do different attributes and all that stuff. So this way you like. Because obviously a white that's draining strength or whatever doesn't threaten a wizard, but one that drains intelligence, like that makes a wizard very afraid.
Yeah, that's what Kelsey Dion does with Shadow Dark. There is no level drain; it's all attribute related.
It's all attribute. Yeah,
and I think that works too, because the attributes. I mean, it's a static number, right? So you have let's say you have a 12. Constitution and it's 1d6 con drain, that could be very lethal in like 2-3 hits, so so it works as far as like fear inducing the game mechanics.
Got Jeff with a white last night.
Oh yeah
Fantastic.
I'm waiting to so here's something that happened also overlooked. So when my character foolishly opened the sarcophagus, 2 other characters were next to me. We got hit with something, and we failed our saves. And Dan did something very important. He goes, "All right, you don't feel you're choking, blah blah blah, but you don't feel good. Something doesn't feel right." And that's all he said. So I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah,
I got in the back of my head some impending doom with my character. I have no idea what's going to happen.
And that's I think that's important for like talking about horror, right? Like I think that's important too, is like not giving the players like the full story. I'm not saying like keeping information from them, you know what I mean? That's something they would know or whatever. But like you said, like, oh, okay, you don't feel good. Or the
Right.
GM rolls a die and is like, oh, you don't feel good. And you go on and you're like, wait, what? That's it? It's like, no, you're fine for now.
For
It's
now.
like, what for now?
That
What?
hangs
Like,
in the air for
and
now.
then
That just
you're
hangs
right.
in the air. Yeah,
And then like the next day or like when they rest, you're like, hey, roll a death save. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're fine. You know, just even if it's nothing or whatever, like, oh, maybe you feel like you got a slight cold. Like then that player's like paranoid and like, kind of gets them into like the horror mindset. Um, you know, but
Well,
yeah,
I
it's
think
interesting.
one of the things like I didn't like jump into
Well, we
years ago, but one of the things that started kind of annoying me when I was just running regular D&D is like you announce that I just see that. I figure there's enough to tell you. Yeah, yep. I am, man. I'm a veteran, Dan. I'm a veteran. I knew
Yeah.
exactly. I smelled what you were stepping in. Okay.
Yeah.
But I was getting annoyed with like my players. What you said, second level. They're still young. They're still weak-ish, right? But I tell them, oh, 6 goblins jump out at you, and they're all like, whatever. It's goblins. And they just sort of immediately just start rolling dice, and it's very mechanical, tactical, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I got thinking, if I was just walking around the woods, and 6, 3.5, 4 foot tall, green leathery skinned dudes wearing like nasty rags and rusty shivs jumped out at me, I think I'd be a little nervous, more than nervous. I think I'd be scared at what I'm facing. And I kind of make that point in the opening of Living Darkness is like, you don't tell your players what they're facing, show it to them, describe it, let their imagination run wild. And all of a sudden goblins are scary again. Goblins are a little like, what are we facing? What is this? And so long as you never mention the word goblin, they'll eventually put 2 and 2 together. Like, oh, okay. Well, we faced these before. We know what to do now. And I think with horror especially, you want to just slowly introduce it and not just say, oh, there's a specter here. Describe the translucent nature of the apparition, the claws reaching out. I hate to bring up this guy, but I years ago when Critical Role first hit the scene, I watched an actual play of them with Vin Diesel when he was promoting something.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Mercer did an excellent job describing a wraith. He didn't use the word wraith. He just described like this black mist and like his hands coming out, reaching for you. And then when it touched you, you got cold and your levels were draining and stuff. I was like, that's exactly what you want to do for horror, I think. So there you go. Clip this. I gave Matt Mercer some props, but
there you go. Yeah, we'll clip it. I'm sure he'll thank you personally. He'll call you up later. Thanks for he's calling you now. Your phone's ringing. He's gonna call you up. Hey, thanks for the shout out. Yeah, no, it reminds me of this one time we had a group. It was when I was running Castles and Crusades, and they got down to like, I don't know, like the 8th level of a dungeon or whatever, and there's I don't remember what level they were at this point, maybe 6th level, something like 5th, 6th level. And they, there's like a coffin down there, and I tried to telegraph it, but they didn't care. They like open the coffin and this vampire's in there and he gets up, and the player next to me is like, he has his D20 in his hand and he like, shakes and like shows it to me and like just looks at me and I'm like, what do you want to do? Like, what? He's like, I want to rhythm. Like he wants to use his charisma and like, because he's I don't know if he was a bard or what. I don't even think he was a fighter. I think that just had he had a high charisma, and he's like, I want to rhythm. I'm like, you just woke this dude up. Like, what do you mean you want to like? What do you want? I'm like, okay, like, what do you tell this guy? Like first before you like, what do you tell? And he's like, oh, I just want to talk to him and like find out. I'm like, he's a what? like, and so he like tries to talk to, I forget what he asks. He's like, oh, can you tell us where the treasure is down? Like he's asking for directions or something. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's no horror. Nobody's scared or whatever. Well, and then he's like, be gone, you worthless mortals. And they're like trying to talk to him. And then I'm like, okay, we're rolling initiative. Like he's
yeah,
yeah. And he like smacked like one of them and it did like, a ton of damage. And they're like, oh shit. like, and then they end up like trying to run off and all this stuff. But it was like, that's how horror goes with some of my players. They're just like, oh, more undead. Yeah, sure. All right. Yeah, we'll go. We'll do the thing. And yeah, we got the sword. We'll just kill him. Yeah. Okay.
That's how my players are too, until we got to Delta Green. That game was the first game that ever really, they were really scared of what the consequences of every action they did were going to be.
I haven't played Delta Green, but it's based off of Call of Cthulhu, right? Like,
yeah.
Yep.
I think it's because they're normal people, right? Like there's some there that plays a huge role. Like when I was running 5e and 4e and 3e, like especially 3e once they got up into the higher levels, it was really hard to like get my players to feel like they were vulnerable. And I think that's another element to horror. Like the players have to feel like their characters are vulnerable. And so like keying up the unknown and not really telling them, it helps play into that. But but even if you were just described like this vampire without using the word vampire in like an 8th level 5e game, someone's just like, oh, I'm going to cast Witch Bolt and I'm going to do this secondary wind and I'm going to like do this, that, the other thing. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, well, there goes my encounter, So I think that, and that's why I really like the OSR older games, because players, the characters are still pretty vulnerable.
Yep.
And if you use, I mean, I love undead. I love, those, the paladin facing off the undead kind of trope, but that can be overused and that will make players not really scared of undead. But if you use sparingly, I think you can like really turn up the horror when it does appear. And one thing I've been like musing about too is even making the low level undead a little bit more challenging for the players. Like I can't remember what edition it was, but they introduced a mechanic for skeletons that they only take 1 point of damage from piercing weapons, because there's just all these holes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then zombies, like I know Kelsey does this, like you have to like, they get like a death save or something, or they keep coming, things like that, where the undead are doing something not normal. The normal thing is the goblins hit 0 hit points, it's dead. The orc, 0 hit points, dead, down the line. Doesn't matter if you're hitting with an axe, club, or a spear. They're taking damage and going down. But but undead should feel off, feel like they're not of this world, and force players to go, okay, standard tactics aren't working. What do we do? Where's the cleric?
Yeah, Kelsey definitely does that with the undead. Skeletons have, they're not 1 hit die. They're 2. They have 11 hit points. The zombies, if a zombie drops to 0, they roll a save or DC 12 charisma
something
check
like
or something.
Yeah, I can't quite remember.
And if they make it, they go to 1 hit point. Yeah,
that's a straight up 5e thing, though. I think she adopted.
Oh, is it?
How they are 5e. 5e, if they drop to, they make a save or something, and then if they make it, they get back up at 1 hit point, and they keep doing it. They can do it every time you drop them, but each time it gets harder for them to make that save.
Yeah. And the vampire, like she made the vampire like terrifying, things like that. So I think that helps.
I hope so, because the 5e version of that one is wimpy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean those things definitely, I think, make it so that the players are kind of like, standoffish or whatever to go up against. things like they're like, oh, skeletons or whatever, and then it's like, oh, geez, the skeleton's got 11 hit points. It's like that's more than usual. So you're not going to kill them. Like no matter what you do, you're not going to kill them in one hit now.
Right.
which means that they're scarier, right? Because they're going to get multiple, more swings at you. And I think that helps with the whole horror thing. What do you do, Matt? Like when you run horror, what do you do to like get the players like in the mood? Do you like dim the lights and put candles out? Like you think that stuff helps?
I think it could. I don't usually do that though. There was a time when I was a little bit more, I don't know, acting. I would might do stuff like that, but now I think like with my Gods of the Forbidden North game, it's the standard OSR game that I'm running. All I had to do, if anybody's read Gods of the Forbidden North, and you should because it's an amazing campaign. There is a third level dungeon. I'm hopefully they're not watching this, but it's a third level dungeon.
Oh boy!
But it's got undead in it. They know this, not the third level part. They just know there's undead in it. And there was some lore that they discovered, but it's incomplete pieces of the lore, and they think they know what's in there, and it has scared the crap out of them for over a year. And they're now finally like, I think we got to go to the Barrow of Eight because we know there's a magic sword in there, and we're going to need that to take on this other thing. They're 6th level. I have a feeling it's going to be a cakewalk for them. but the unknown and that fear of has kept them like, it's funny because I have a map of Tetherian on the wall, and I'll point to the hex. I'm like, are you sure you guys don't want to go here today? They're like, no, not the Barrow of Eight. So I don't really think I need to use any like tricks like that, environmental tricks, unless you're really into it. Unknown, seed things slowly, incomplete, make the players work for things, make them feel vulnerable, which we also have on the wall. Next to the map is the Wall of the Honored Dead. So every time a character dies, I write how they died on it in big black letters, and I stick it on the wall. We take a shot of bourbon to celebrate their death, and then we keep going. So like they know the stakes are high, and these guys, in prior campaigns, they try to be heroic and noble and all this other stuff. In this game, they're cutthroat mercenaries. They're too afraid to die. They're like, they want to make sure they get paid. They need to know this is worth it, blah, blah, blah. So I think I don't think it's necessary. I guess it can help, but like if you know how to like present the material, it'll be like 80% of the work for you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Because I've always envisioned like the playing the music and like dimming the lights, maybe lighting a few black candles or whatever or things. What do you guys think about that? Like doing the rest of you guys as far as like environmental stuff like that. Does that help set the mood for a horror game? Or
it could, definitely could.
To some degree, I think it depends on the game. Like if I was doing Delta Green, I probably wouldn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a psychological thriller 7 kind of horror and less of a jump scare.
It depends though. If you pick up Delta Green and you do something like Music from a Darkened Room, which is literally a haunted house adventure,
sure,
then it may fit it there.
Although I guess
I haven't read it. If you go in the haunted house and it's like lights are dim and there's candles going, then it would definitely fit. If I don't know, I'd have to read it and see. It's situational, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts. I will say for Mothership, there a lot of the adventures now have pretty good audio cues and clips that people have made. I use the 2 of them from Moonbase Blues when I run that, where people have like the initial login thing that tells you the objectives you have, and the one that's hacked. And there's a weather alert that has like a Morse code clue into it, which is cool. People have made working terminals, like interactive terminals that you can.
Yeah, I've seen that.
which
You
is
can
really
actually
neat.
type stuff in
Yeah,
and all that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I
That's
I
awesome.
don't, but I mean, I think that stuff works with most kinds of games. Call of Cthulhu, a lot of the adventures, there's third party props and printouts of letters and different things. So it's nicer than just obviously I printed this off my printer or something like that. It's like a weathered, worn, letter or what. That kind of stuff I do think helps. I do think it can be hard to run. When I've run Dread at Halloween, for example, I'm probably trying to not run that in the middle of the day in a well-lit room with birds chirping outside or something like that. It definitely will hurt the mood a little bit. I do think there's probably a point of diminishing returns where if you're going overboard with some of that stuff, it might actually take people out of it almost. So I think it depends on the game and what you're trying to accomplish. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jason.
You're muted, Jason.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry. I have a fan blowing next to me here, and I don't know if it's coming through the mic or not, so I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't.
No,
anyway,
you sound good.
I've only used like lighting one time that I can remember, and that was, I think it was my first tour in Germany. So this would have been 92. I was running D&D. I'm sure we were playing second ed, and my party was going through a swamp. And it was Christmas time, and I had some really cheap twinkle lights stapled up to my ceiling. Half of them didn't work. So when they entered the swamp, and I'm in Germany, it's Christmas, it's cold. So when they went into the swamp, I opened the door to my room. So now cold air is coming in. And I turned the lights off, and I turned the twinkle lights on. And like I said, half of them didn't work. So it was pretty dim. It was like just bright enough so the guys could see their sheets. That's about it. And I felt like we were in a swamp, and I wasn't running it. And so, I lowered my voice, and I'm just like, we're whispering as we're creeping through the swamp. And man, it went incredibly well. But that's the only time that I can ever remember doing it. And I haven't said much during, tonight so far, because, horror is really not my big thing. I'll play it. But I have a couple of thoughts on it. One, Matt is very good at it. When he was running the Moonbase Blues and the Meat Magnet, I can never remember what that's called.
Dead weight. Meat Magnet is so good. Was the B title? It's a good. Yeah.
Meat Magnet's definitely like a good title for that. Yeah.
Those both were really creepy. And I don't know if it's because Matt has run them several times, so he knows them really well, so he's able to kind of set the tone. But there were times in Moonbase Blues, there's a scene with the guys ramming the light bulb into his eye.
Oh my God, I still picture that.
But the thing is, that didn't creep me out at all. I was like, okay, there's a guy. What creeped me out was going from room to room, not knowing what's in the next room, because everything is going wrong in here. And and then we get outside, and really, we go outside, and we're like, we've got one space suit, and there's like 5 of us. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to get everybody into the escape vehicle, whatever it was we were doing. And there was that group of zombies that was running around outside, or the thralls to the meteor. It was just a really good setting. In space, no one can hear you scream. And but then I've played Alien before, and Alien does nothing for me. I know the xenomorph is out there. I know my character's going to die. That's what's going to happen when you play Alien. And because I know that there's a huge chance I'm going to die, I don't care. It's just a piece of paper sitting in front of me at that point, so it doesn't bother me. For me, so much of it, like, you can be the best team in the world. You can set the table up to an incredible degree. If you have players that aren't invested in it, that aren't willing to be scared or willing to let their characters be scared. Earlier we were talking about a paladin is fighting the devils or whatever. I've played Cavaliers a lot, and in most editions, one of the abilities of the Cavalier is to complete immunity to fear. And I really like that in a Cavalier. They're so brave that they're foolhardy. They will charge into the most dire circumstance. Everyone can be like, dude, we're going to get wrecked. And he's like, onward, glory awaits us.
Right.
And because that's the cavalier. Chivalry, a war or combat is the flower of chivalry. He wants to go, and if he dies in combat, he's had a glorious end. That's wonderful. Fifth edition does not have that in the cavalier. The cavalier in fifth edition is just a fighter, and I stuck cavalier on the top.
Yeah.
And so I'm playing a cavalier, and we would go fight this thing, and it had a fear. And my cavalier, because me, if I'm gonna make a saving throw, I'm gonna fail it. And so my cavalier is running in fear, and I was like, I freaking hate fifth edition. But that's just the way it was, and it was difficult for me to get past the fact that every edition I've ever played up until now, the cavalier is immune to fear. So, man, I'm really going a roundabout way of making my point here. If your character does not specifically have an immunity to fear, then it's incumbent on the player to play that. If we go fight the dragon, I know this big bad is terrified, and there's a good chance that when that humongous reptilian head comes down at me, I'm going to panic and run away. That's just something that'll happen. Morale checks, soldiers break, combatants flee the battlefield. It happens all the time in real life. There's no reason it shouldn't happen in fantasy. So it really, I just feel like more than the DM running an effective fear campaign, the players need to buy into that fear. And if they do, and if they can accept the fact that it doesn't mean their character is a coward, it means that they're scared because there's some crazy supernatural thing that's happening to them.
Yeah.
And I guess
run away, live to fight another day type of.
Right.
Jason, I got to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
So you hated that they made it so the Cavaliers weren't immune to fear. What's your thought on paladins and being turned by evil clerics? Because that goes all the way back to first edition. I know a lot of people hate it.
Yeah, I don't like it. I feel like the paladin should have a saving throw. But if you're a cleric of an evil god, you should be just as powerful as a cleric of a good god. If I can walk into a room with a vampire, which is one of the most powerful undead, and I can turn him because I am radiating this immense good aura, I don't see why a paladin who gains all of his power from the holiness of his god, and he's lawful good, couldn't be turned by a powerful evil priest.
Right.
For me, it's two sides of the same coin. And because I love playing paladins, so I want to say, no, that's absurd. It's not absurd. It's two sides of the same coin. You have to be fair about it.
Right. Okay. I was just curious because I know lots of people. We've had this discussion before. Lots of people hate it. Think it's the dumbest thing ever.
It comes really close to taking the agency away from the player, but I don't think it's so close that I would feel the need to argue about it. If a fear ability hits my second level ranger and I run away, what's the difference in the paladin being turned? Sometimes the bad guy is going to get the advantage over you, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I kind of like the turning that they did in DCC, which is it's a turn unholy instead of turn undead. So it's kind of like whatever is like the antagonistic thing to your faith.
Evil
so like
cleric.
if your god is like a heavy carnivore, you can like turn vegans or whatever, away, you make them run away or
some editions of D&D, the paladins can
behold the steak.
In some editions, they can also turn demons.
Yeah. I just like that it's kind of like, an opposite thing instead of just like turn undead, because there's like other things that really like other gods or whatever that might not care, like, I mean, you look at like Greyhawk or whatever, like Paylor is obviously like the turn undead, right? God.
He's the sun god.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it makes sense. But you look at like some of the nature gods and all that stuff, and it's like, why do they, or Faharligan there, the wanderer, the wanderer there, like it doesn't make sense for his clerics to turn undead. Like, who cares? Like
a lot of those
care.
A lot of those contradictions or inconsistencies, or however you want to couch them, is actually why I've gone back to preferring just standard clerics. You may have a god that you prefer, but you worship the entire pantheon, doing the thing, and and that's how I've been trying to run clerics, for the past few years.
That's kind of the Greek pantheon method.
Yeah.
You might sacrifice every other day to Zeus, but you fully acknowledge and praise all those gods because you don't want any of them getting pissed at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when you cast a spell that's like, magic weapon, you're praising Mars, right? And then like when you go to heal, your whoever it would be for healing, charm, Aphrodite, that kind of thing. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. Not, when second edition went into the whole specialty priest thing, I thought it was cool back in the 90s,
The sphere of influences.
Yeah, I thought that stuff was cool, but it got too, especially
they could never figure out how to do it right because they've done there's three different versions of specialist priests throughout second edition. They kept changing how it works and
and now by fifth edition they're like just another type of wizard, really. It feels like a white mage or whatever you want to call them. But anyway,
I agree. Like, open up the first edition book and just pull out the cleric. They were perfect as they were. I like them that way.
Yeah, I've always, in my campaigns, I've always kind of had, I've gone back instead of having like a huge pantheon to have like one main, god. It's like, this is the Lord of Light and there's a Lord of Darkness type of thing. And it's like, opposites, and that's it. And maybe there's like a pantheon that's like under them or what, but those are the main kind of things. And so it kind of makes sense to do like the good and evil thing. Because like the Greek, absolutely. But like you, because you look at some of the other pantheons and there's just, I don't know, they're all over the place. And, I don't know. I think it's nice to have like clear cut, good versus evil type of, thing.
Yeah, I did that in my homebrew setting. That there's like a one true God, and if you're a cleric, you have to worship that deity. Everybody else who has gods that they worship are really comporting with powers, so they're really like a warlock or a magic user of some kind leading a cult. And that sort of like made us like clear distinction, and Lamentations like leans into that. Like, if you're a cleric, you have to be lawful. If you're a magic user, an elf, you have to be chaotic, because you're doing two separate things. You have two very radically different worldviews. I really like that, and I really think it helps. Kind of like you said, it makes something clear cut, and then you just have to make a decision, So
the Saints system for Dolmen Wood is pretty cool. I like the shrines and all that stuff where you can kind of get extra spells by praying to the to specific shrines of certain gods or whatever. It's definitely interesting. But having like one kind of overarching thing, I think is better than having a whole slew of deities, and then you don't know which way's which. What do you guys think as far as a system for horror? We've all played different things. I know, we've played, Mothership. I know we've played Alien, Shadow Dark, Call of Cthulhu. I mean, things like that. What do you think's a system that handles horror really well? And I guess why?
Call of Cthulhu. Dr. Green.
Call of Cthulhu, you think, Mike? Why do you say that though? What are your
because
reasons?
First of all, your characters in both games are super fragile. Combat is absolutely deadly. Combat's a little more prevalent in Delta Green than it is Call of Cthulhu, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still very, very fragile. Doing those horror checks or fear checks or whatever, I forget what they're called. But
sanity checks.
The sanity checks, and you're based on there's different types. Delta Green does it a little different than Call of Cthulhu. I don't know Call of Cthulhu enough because I haven't run it yet. Mm-hmm. But I was told that Delta Green improved on the sanity a little bit.
It's similar, but the bonds are exclude. That's a Delta Green thing. That right. Doesn't exist in Call of Cthulhu. That's right. The main difference.
So you get bonds that might be like family members or friends or coworkers, just like might be your best friend. And anytime you take those checks, you can mitigate it by projecting onto one of your bonds. So basically, if you say I'm going to project onto them, you can mitigate the sanity loss But then after the adventure's done and you go back to your home, you then have to resolve that, and you lose part of your bonds, which helps to, keep your sanity and whatnot. So it's a cool system.
We talked about it before, but so just a real quick, True Detective season 1 is to me was super Delta Green coded, because it shows that time jump and how much more normal those two folks were.
Yep.
Whatever it was, 15 years before, and how much what was his name, Dusty, I think in particular, got messed up by his exposure to Carcosa and kind of getting too close and learning things he shouldn't have known. And Delta Green really does a good job with that. The sanity isn't just a second well of hit points. You have to actually role play out the degradation of your family and friend relationships, and what you're taking home from those experiences. It's not just in Call of Cthulhu, it's like, oh, I take I go to a sanitarium or I go to whatever and I get a roll and I get some sanity points back. It's definitely more impactful than that when you have to actually act it out.
Yeah.
I also, you've mentioned this before, but the lethality rating on weapons in Delta Green, I don't believe is in Call of Cthulhu either, where a weapon will have a 10%, 20%, 30% lethality score, where if it hits you, you roll that percentage, and if you fail it, you're just dead. So if somebody shoots you with a heavy machine gun, it's not just like, oh, it's 2d8 damage. I mean, it's whatever damage, but also I'm going to make this lethality check. Yeah, you just got blasted into smithereens. You're just dead. Yeah. So like that to me is a scary mechanic as well. Like when you're looking down the equipment list and you're like, and your player's like, what does this score mean? Oh yeah, that means if you shoot somebody with this weapon, there's a 20% chance they're just dead. Doesn't matter how many hit points they have.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. I've like I said, I've never played Delta Green, so that's cool. I like that. That kind of goes back to the old system shock check. When you take like so much damage in D&D, like it's greater than 50% or whatever, there's a chance you just die. Like that needs to come back. Man, my players are gonna hate me.
Yeah, well, it's like the thing about like and I get like Shadow Dark is trying to be a minimalistic kind of game, right? And well, not anymore, I guess, but we'll see where that goes. But like, you should have a very minimalistic game, so it's like, so it has that thing where like, oh, okay, a dragon literally, breathes fire on you. You have 10 hit points. You get hit for 40 hit points. It's like, okay, you go to 0. Next turn, somebody runs up, makes a DC 15 intelligence check. It's like, hey, buddy.
I'm still alive.
Wake up.
Badly
You're
burned.
Like, oh, thank God.
I'm very badly burned.
Thank God, you're okay. You're okay. And then literally you get, dragged through the lava outside, right? And it's like, okay, we take a nap. 8 hours later, you're like, okay, good to go. Let's get back in there.
Be like if Anakin took a nap and he had his arms and legs and skin back.
Yes, that's right.
Right, he takes
feeling much better.
Anakin. Right, that's all he needed was a nap. If Obi-Wan dragged him outside and just put him to sleep, 8 hours later, it would have woke up, would have been fine. I mean that's like the thing. It takes away, from that,
So because Morkborg is a very lethal game. But it's not really a horror game. It's schlocky or pulp kind of more than horror. I do think Shadow Dark with the attacking the light source thing, especially low level, does kind of lean into horror in a way that I really appreciate. I played Gamehole Con last year, a session where somebody was testing a monster from a new book, and basically it was this large insectoid kind of creature that lived in this cavern, and it had the ability to project an image of itself, like a mirror image. So we know these villagers have been disappearing, and we know there's some kind of monster in there. We don't know what it is. So kind of what you were saying, Jason, like each room we go into, we're like, is the monster going to be in here? Is the monster going to be in here? So then we find it. It's like crawling on the ceiling. But we don't know what it is, right? Because it's not. This is a new monster. It doesn't exist in a book or anything. So we go in there and it's like you see the thing. It's crawling on the ceiling. We're doing all this prep work, and then the DM rolls a check, and basically the actual creature, like it was just projecting an image of itself. It came up behind the person with the torch and basically bit his head off. It rolled to hit. hit and it has a sneak attack because you don't know it's there. So it's like one of our guys just died. The torch is gone. Now we're all at disadvantage. Like that was scary as hell. And we're like, oh my God, there's two of them. So we hit the one and it disappears. And it's like, oh no, it's a mirror image. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a whole lot of stuff going on there, but it's the idea of, attacking the light. Monsters that you don't know what their powers are sort of inherently scarier than ones that you know because they're in a book. And then the lethality of low level fantasy play where it is actually terrifying to get hit by stuff. And Shadow Dark with the timer, it's a random roll to see. It's a little, to your point, if you get to them, you can, you bit his head off. Oh, yeah. I lay hands. Oh, his head magically is reattached. Like there, so it is. There is that, but like low level in the dark. So it's like, well, what do we do? Like, are we relighting a torch? Are we attacking the monster? We have like one turn to heal this person. So now you're making choices, like life and death choices. That kind of stuff is interesting. I wrote out a list of things that I appreciate in horror, and I think a lot of them can apply to almost any system. Now, some, like if you're playing My Little Pony or something, like maybe none of these are going to apply, but but so there's
unto itself.
Yeah. So we talked about we talked about lethality. I mean, that's certainly part of it. Fear of the unknown or the unnatural. We talked about that's definitely a big part of it. Discomfort or that skin crawl feeling you get from body horror or sensory descriptions. It's kind of amusing, but the guys that do Between Two Cairns ran a con a couple weeks ago, and they released sort of a joke tournament module that I bought, and it's amusing. It says in there, we didn't play test this. Sorry, it's like a cursed fantasy spa basically. But one of the descriptions is the whole place is carpeted, so it's like a dungeon spa that is carpeted the whole way. Which, if you think about that for even a second, is so disgusting. Like it's absolutely gross. And I've played a few different games where just the descriptions of the place where we were. One was a Weird Frontiers game where we were in the middle of it. We were in this like Hills Have Eyes kind of town, and like each like ramshackle place we went into, the denizen of that place was even worse than the one before it. And eventually I was just like, I'm not opening any more of these places. I just want to leave. I'm so uncomfortable with this place. I'm going to murder hobo the next person I see. I just want to get out of this town. So like, that's a very real kind of interesting feeling. We talked about building tension. One thing that I do sometimes, there's a couple different tricks there. If you ever set out like a timer, like a countdown timer on a die, and you just don't explain what it's for, or the Blades in the Dark clock, like you make a 5-segment clock, you just periodically fill in a segment. Like, and if you don't explain, like, what are you doing over there? Oh, don't worry about it. Just keeping track of something for myself. Like that kind of stuff is like players get really invested in, like, what does that mean? What's going to happen when that thing counts down? You can also do with Mothership, especially. I like to some of them, like Haunting of Epsilon 14. I'll hand out like little cards to all the players, and some of them will have information. Some of them will have like an objective, and some of them won't say anything. Like you have 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in your knapsack added to your inventory or whatever. But like just giving players, or like in game, if you pass somebody a note, that kind of stuff puts everybody on edge, because it's the whole like, do we have a traitor? Like, what's going on here? Like, why does this person suddenly care about this thing? That makes people, the whole thing, and you see in horror movies or Walking Dead or whatever, where the community fractures and turns on itself. In a good horror game, if you set the environment right, it's very easy to make that happen, to kind of foster that feeling. Like not knowing who you can trust. And then the generalized human fear of certain things, like not everybody, but most people don't like snakes, don't like bugs, don't like rats. There's like a human evolution thing where we just don't like we don't like crawling things. We don't like webs. So there's the 2 Morkborg adventures I ran at the last page. One has this snake cult. And so I bought a bunch of snakes, and I put them all over the table. And then there's little snakes. When you get bit, the venom lets you see things that the other people can't see. So you'd get a little snake to put on your card. But early on, you don't know what that means. So it's like, why am I getting this little snake? And then there's another one that has this guy, the Roach King. So I bought a bunch of bugs. And like the closer the players get to the Roach King, the more bugs I put out like on the table. And it's just like, what is going on with these bugs? So you can immediately tell the people who are like, they'll like kind of push them away. Like they don't like that kind of stuff. I think, even in a con setting where you can't control the lighting, you can't control the music, you can't control the people at the table next to you that are playing whatever and being loud. You can't control that stuff. There's still things you can do that can be system agnostic. You can bring, and I think, Matt, to your point about the Warden's Guide, what I like about that so much is it goes over a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't tie it to Mothership. Like in Mothership, the sanity check means XYZ. It's about how do you build tension? How do you make people feel a certain way? How do you evoke a mood? And you can apply that stuff to all types of different games. I still, though, for my money, would say the most tense game that I've ever played is Dread. Like that tactile thing of that Jenga tower, like it just I have yet to find a game that replicates that mechanic so well, because like we've all been down to like 2 hit points or 1 hit point in a fight, and like I think you just get used to that. But it's a very different thing where it's like I have to physically manipulate this, and if I mess it up, my character's going to die. Like,
but is that too much? Like on the other side, though, where now it's like no one really cares about the game, but they're more concerned about, hey, I don't want this tower to fall. Like does that pull them out of the game?
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that happen too much. I mean, Dread is a one-shot thing. You're not running campaigns of Dread, so it's over in a couple hours. I've seen somebody knock it over on like the 7th pull, which always blows my mind. I've also seen what tends to happen more often is people really underestimate how many safe pulls are left, and they start making decisions because they don't want to do a pull, even though like probably there's 5, 6, 7 more safe pulls. And so there's a psychological, physical interaction there that I think is really cool and unique. It doesn't happen in a lot of games. So if you're asking me like what game evokes the most kind of tension that sort of replicates the feeling of a certain part of watching a horror movie or something, for me it's that one, because there's something unique about it. But it's a glass cannon system. You're not going to run it. You can only kind of do it once. Like you do it one time and it's like, oh, that's a really cool thing. I think if you played it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, you would lose that feeling. But I think it's a good litmus test or a starter thing to see, like, is this a feeling you like? Do you like this kind of game? Because if so, I have games that are like that are more crunchy and mechanical. We can play over and over again versus Dread is just a one-shot thing.
We would turn it into a campaign thing where everybody has their own Jenga tower in front of them, and and then everybody's got to pull, and then everybody's worried about the table shaking, and everything's going on. Oh my god! Yeah, that'd be crazy. It'd be absolutely nuts.
Now, I know it doesn't get a lot of love here, but Savage Worlds also has an interesting way to do fear. I pulled out the book just to look because, if something fears you, there's the monsters in in Savage Worlds will actually have on their stat block, it'll say if they fear or not. So, like skeletons don't fear, but I'd have to flip through and find it. But obviously, some of the undead, but even things I think like giant worms and stuff like that have a fear effect to them. So you got to make a spirit check. As a free action, as basically a fear check. If you fail that fear check, then you're going to roll on a fear table. And so on the stat block, it'll tell their fear, and it might say like fear +2. So when you roll that D20 fear table, you're going to add +2 to it. So you can get above 20. So 22 plus, which is the highest level, is heart attack. And then it goes on to it where, they're overwhelmed with fear. Their heart shudders. They must make an immediate vigor roll at -2. If successfully stunned, if he fails, he's incapacitated and dies in 2 to 6 rounds. In the latter case, healing roll at -4 can save his life, but he remains incapacitated. but it goes through a whole rank of like at the very bottom is adrenaline surge, distracted, vulnerable, shaken, and these are all statuses in the game. Mark of fear, frightened, panicked, minor and major phobias. If you get a phobia, that's lasting. So now you could be fearful every time you see something like that. It's pretty interesting the way they do it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder, like, some of that though, like mechanically, like I don't know if that like translates well enough.
Well, in that game it
like
does.
yeah,
it,
no. In some games it definitely will. But I mean, I know in like some games where it says, "Oh, okay, so you're like afraid of, you know, skeletons, or you're afraid of like ghosts now from like now on." Like I wonder if in like a campaign,
that could be
like 3
great role
sessions
playing.
later,
That could be great
right,
role
right.
playing.
But
Yeah.
3 sessions later, like I feel that with some people it becomes like a campy kind of thing where they're like, "Oh, it's a ghost. Oh, I'm afraid," or what. You know what I mean? And again, maybe I'm just playing with the wrong group.
Right.
Well, I think
that goes back to it's on the player to
Yeah.
I was just
take
gonna
it
say,
seriously and play it seriously.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, like, I think game masters put a lot on themselves because, but, we bring our players like 9/10 of the way there or whatever. It's up to them to take the next step and like really step into it. If they just want to show up, roll dice, drink beer, and talk about the, sports ball in between dice rolls or whatever, you're not going to get out very far with like a horror game, or maybe not even a sword and sorcery game. You know what I mean?
Have you been looking in the window when we play? Because you hit that.
It's like a beer and pretzels game, in which case you just kind of have to roll with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I also think every game session, and I would even argue even campaigns, maybe not as strictly, they kind of go through like this thing where, like, people are there they're socializing, they're rolling dice, they're kind of getting, and then something happens and they're like all of a sudden really focused on what's going on or whatever it is, whether it's a role-playing thing or like a combat, and then they're goofing off, whatever, and then they're focused again, blah blah blah. I mean, you just kind of have to, that's part of reading the room. But like, to Jason's point, like, if they're not going to like play the schizophrenic, whatever, because they're, it's a Call of Cthulhu game, or if they're not going to, play it up, that is going to be something that's lost. Because when the players start being anxious and maybe even playing it up a little bit, that becomes infectious, and the other players, at the table are all of a sudden like getting amped up, like what happened with that one Alien RPG game. They're just like, when I told Cody, you got to make a roll, man, everyone's like, oh no, come on. And one guy's like, he's not going to pass it, because he knew he was at this point fatalistic. He's like, we're all going to die. Oh, yep, Cody failed. We're all going to die, and that just sort of had this really nice synergy. But to Matt's point, he said something about fighting. He was talking about fighting a monster he was not aware of, or it was new and they had no foreknowledge. That, I think, is also a big thing, a tool one should use. It's one of the reasons why I love Lamentations of the Flame Princess. There are no fear mechanics in that book at all. It's just a BX clone with a few things that are different, right? But every time you pick up a module or a campaign setting or whatever, what's contained in there, your players have never seen before. And if you play it right, they're going to be like, what are we doing? They're really asking questions of like, well, will this work? Will that work? Oh, he just got turned into a pool of acid. Okay, that didn't work. Like, what? Let's run away. And I've played in games where it does devolve into people just kind of like not trusting not trusting each other, maybe even fighting each other. And that's one of the, so if you ask me, my favorite horror RPG is Lamentations of the Flame Princess, precisely because like you don't need the mechanics. That's why I'm really excited to running this Mothership game, because I see a lot of similarities, because my players are going to go to various locations in the star map and they're going to encounter something, but they're not going to know what it is. So I'm looking forward to that campaign. So
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Mothership is fantastic. I was introduced by Matt. We were in some of his games at some conventions, and yeah, I really liked it. It was cool. So I mean,
I
got a copy of it.
played the original version.
Yeah,
A few years back on a actual play channel, and I just had a ball. I just absolutely loved it. Even when my favorite characters died, like I got killed in cool ways, and in some ways I was like, yeah, I should have seen this coming, kind of thing. But the game master was really good. He was dispassionate. He would describe things, and then when he just let the dice fall where they may, and then bad stuff was happening to you, or you're panicking or whatever. So the new edition I haven't yet to play yet. We'll see how that goes.
yeah. I really like the character sheets are really intuitive. They're flow charty. To kind of figure out what your stats are and where everything goes when you do character creation, and they did a real good job at that, I think, and still keeping it simple. Not overly complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I think I talked about this before, but Tuesday Night Games started as a board game company, and I think that some of their visual design and the way they approach the rule book carries over from that into the RPG, because when you know that makes a lot of sense now. Good board game rules often have examples of play. RPGs sometimes do. A lot of them are too much fluff. It's too much like people pretending to role play and less about the nuts and bolts of how to interpret the rules and make them work at the table. I think Mothership does a good job balancing for the players. This is a pretty straightforward system, and here's a flow chart, and there's a supporting app, and we're making it very easy to do that stuff. But then for running the game, they have this really good book that actually tells you, if you're running a game, this is your job and this is what you're supposed to do. Hull Breach is amazing. Hull Breach is probably the best Mothership supplement. It has some of the best adventures. Road Trip is in there. Vibe Shetty is in there. I don't know if you guys know Vibe Shetty, but it's basically Friday the 13th in space. Nice. It's really cool. You play a bunch of spoiled rich kids on like a space yacht going to this like space. What is it called? When they have like a forest that's enclosed in a thing in space.
Like an arboretum or something?
Yeah, like an arboretum. Yeah. It's this arboretum where something horrible happened, 50 years ago, and it's like your senior trip or whatever. You're going to this place you're not supposed to be, and it turns out there's a Vibe Shetty wielding killer on the loose in there, like stalking the players.
So it's really like good. Jason X.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that. Yeah, it's exactly like that. And then it has also a lot of good setting stuff. One of the things that I really like about it is nested. So unlike a lot of anthologies, because it's a lot of things that were made, it's an anthology work made by a bunch of different authors, but there's one editor that commissioned all the pieces that are in it. And then they went through and connected all the stuff. So in road work, there is like a blueprint for something that's from another module. Inside of Hull Breach. So there's like a monster in road work. Also, this is one of my favorite spoilers, but when you start road work, it's like a demented Star Trek episode where you get stuck in this warp bubble and you're jumping universes that get progressively worse. Before you start it, they offer you training. So the corporation says, hey, we're testing this new hyperspace warp drive. Do you want to do training on the warp? And if anybody says yes, they get to watch this video that primarily focuses on these weird warp parasites. And then you just roll D5 and pick up that much stress, because before that you had no idea there were these like terrible warp parasites, and now they exist and you're about to do a bunch of warp jumps. So, but the monster that they're talking about that's in that training video is part of the monster section that somebody else wrote in the book. So it's a really cool thing for Mothership. If you're going to get Mothership beyond kind of some of the adventures, it's probably one of the must buy things.
I'll put that on my list because I have was it A Pound of Flesh, Gradient Descent, and the Red Planet. Those 3 ones that they put out originally. And then I have a few others on PDF. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I've been like kind of scrolling through what else can I add to this campaign map that I'm putting together for. I'll take a look at that one. Hull Breach.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Moonbase Blues was pretty good.
It's one of the better pamphlet ones. Yeah, Ipsilon 14 is one of the better pamphlet ones.
I got that one.
Or Orphans is cool, especially if you like the folk horror kind of stuff. It's by Luke Gearing. It's got
I have that one actually on PDF.
Yeah,
now that
good. That's a good one too.
Psychic Kids, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got creepy psychic kids and a creepy kind of space AI that and then weird monster. It's good. There's good stuff in there.
Nice. Yeah. No, Mothership's fantastic, and I think, and maybe it's just Matt, right? But he does a fantastic job of making it interesting, where you're not sure what's going on, and like there's just enough information out there. And I know the module is some of that. Not to take anything away from you, but
no,
I know
you're
the
not
modules
wrong.
are laid out pretty well. For doing that, and that's and that's important. You guys have said it, but definitely controlling like the flow of information of what things are and what's actually going on. I think that's like important for any kind of like a horror or anything like that.
So Mothership,
everything
you can run a lot of different stuff in Mothership, but the ones that I like are, and this is why I think you'd like Delta Green, Roger, is they're basically Delta Green in space. It's investigative, like blue collar, regular people, and now they're thrust in this horrible situation, and you're trying to figure it out. So Mothership?
Motherships like that?
Well, not all of them. So another bug hunt is like aliens.
Yeah.
Gradient Descent is like a mega dungeon against a bunch of an evil AI creating terrible android replicants.
So all the adventures play different.
Yeah, the ones that I like, so Deadweight, Moonbase Blues, Orphans, Roadwork, they are sort of investigative horror situations. So it's like a horror sandbox. You're thrust in this horrible situation, and what you do, like how much you solve versus survive, is sort of up to you. And all the play groups handle them a little bit differently. And those are the ones that I like. They're not all like that, but even the systems, it's a percentile, roll under, skill based. Delta Green and Call of Cthulhu. Mothership is sort of a devolve of that, and then put in the future. So yeah, they definitely simplified it, and it works really well. Yeah, Shellback. We probably just answered the question, but it's percentile. Roll under. In fact, it only uses D10, and percentile, and then D20 for the panic checks.
Yeah,
that's it.
And a D5 for some. For
D5, D10, 2D10, 3D10. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it basically tells you to roll a D10 and cut it in half. Not actually roll a D5, because we all don't have D5s in our dice bags. Some of us do. All right. But
yeah, I mean, fantasy horror, I think, is probably an underserved market because of how D&D just pivoted away from it completely. I mean, the current Ravenloft stuff is not horror.
Well, the current stuff isn't horror, and even like the original stuff that was like specifically gothic horror. Like you're not going to find. I don't recall any body horror. You might get some psychological, obviously supernatural horror, but I mean, like that's why when I discovered Lamentations of the Flame Princess, I was like,
lots of that stuff.
Yeah. There is all kinds of stuff in here, and they don't pull any punches. And like Carcosa, we were talking about earlier, that's got like quite literally explanations and how to like step-by-step instructions for summoning Yog Sothoth or whatever, including how many virgins you need to sacrifice. So
nice.
It goes into it, like and And so maybe some of the horror is watching your players get into it. I don't know. Maybe is that horrific? I don't know. But but
Yeah, I mean,
but
that's
yeah,
true.
but you're not going to see a lot of. I don't. And anytime they do kind of do something, I think it's kind of mild. Like, ooh, there's an undead thing here. So
If you as a DM are horrified by watching your players go through it, you're just a bad DM. You should be rejoicing
Reveling in it.
reveling in it.
Like, yes,
I did that.
finally it's my turn.
I did that.
Yeah, there's a DCC module I really like. Blights of the Eastern Forest. It's a level 1 hex crawl. It's like 64 pages. There's some DCC goofiness in there. Like the one area is basically it's an homage to killer clowns from outer space, but they're gummy bears from outer space.
Okay.
And they're not, and it's never communicated that that's what they are. It just becomes obvious fairly quickly that that's what's going on. But there are parts of it that are it. I love it because it's got a very Evil Dead Army of Darkness vibe to it. It's basically fantasy crossed with Army of Darkness. But I played it at a con with the author Thorin Thompson, and he's first of all, he's amazing. But it's one of the most memorable one shots I ever played because we did all this stuff and we're going through this thing. We're being harassed by this disembodied hand. It's like flipping us off and it would like pop out and shoot crossbows at us as we're like descending down this thing. We fought this suit of armor that we thought was the big bad, and you know we like spell burn and did this huge magic missile and blasted this thing for like 60 damage, and then it turned out, oh no, actually that's the guardian to the big bad. And then we're in this final fight at the end, and like our resources are like basically expended, and we're all going down one at a time until we have just one. We had 2 clerics and we had 1 left, and he Hail Married like appeal to his deity, and then rolled a nat 20 and basically like got his deity to like restore all of us, because I had been blasted with this. I was playing I had some stupid halfling. Didn't come up with a name. Oh, Coffee Pan Griddle or something was my guy's name. He's like, do you have a name? And I'm like, no. He's like, all right, you're Coffee Pan Griddle. Next. And I was like, all right, I guess that's who I am. So yeah, I got blasted by this mutation ray and got turned into like a Cronenberg kind of monster. And it was like flopping around on the ground. So the deity like restored all of us and we won. But the thing is, either way, that was going to be one of the most memorable con games I ever played. Because either we were going to have this crazy TPK as we all got one at a time annihilated by this thing in terrible, horrible ways. Or what actually happened is we got lucky and managed to light our darkest hour matrix of leadership moment where like this God comes down and restores us. And then it turns the tide and we won. But the thing that made that so memorable to me was it wasn't just basic fantasy stuff. It was very much horror. There was like creepy monsters and body horror stuff going. We're not fighting a giant. We're fighting what is basically a giant, but it's a giant made up of a whole bunch of corpses that, form up into this giant corpse monster. And as it's it's clubbing its arms, like parts of corpses are flying off. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of stuff made it much more memorable for me anyway. So if you like that fantasy horror stuff and you're okay with DCC, that's one I really recommend. It's pretty fun.
Matt, earlier you were talking about, I think you were playing in the game. There was a creepy thing climbing on the ceiling and it went around and bit somebody's head off.
Shadow Dark, yeah.
And I this is the only video game reference I'm going to make, and then we'll move on. BioShock was really good about that. The first time you see the big sister, and she's all spidery and mutated, and she's in the ceiling, half hidden in the shadows. That is creepy as hell, because people don't climb on the ceiling, and it was clearly human at one time, but now it wasn't. So, that uncanny valley thing. It's like this is just not normal at all. So it really flips a switch. If you can set that same kind of scene in a D&D game and really get your players seeing that, man, that's magic. It just makes such good times.
The first time you see one of the big ones with the drill too, doesn't it just like drill somebody through in the background and you don't actually interact with it then? Yeah.
Yeah, Big Daddy,
Yeah.
you're on the other side of a bulletproof glass.
Yes,
You
that's
and
what
Dad.
it is. Yeah.
And the guy unloads his pistol, or I think it's a submachine, but he unloads into Big Daddy, and he just shrugs it off and then rams his drill through the guy and pins him up against the wall. And you're like,
yeah.
I have to fight those things at some point. Oh my god!
Yeah, BioShock, it was great with the sound cues too, like the directional sound. Yeah, that's a great one. And the claustrophobia of being underwater too really
Yes.
amplifies everything.
Never knowing when a crack is going to pour water through, and now I've got to get through the through the bulkhead. Sound cues. My wife and I were driving back from Rochester today, and she asked me what tonight's topic was. So I said we're about horror RPGs, and she was like, "Well, like what?" And so, I'm talking to her, and it got me thinking about why I don't like horror movies, especially most modern horror movies. The sound cues are just absolutely abysmal. Like the original Friday the 13th had that,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, it's a slasher flick, so it's not like it's really scary, but that noise is like, there's something coming here. I can't see it yet, but there's clearly something going on in here. Whereas nowadays, that creepy noise at the back of your head doesn't exist. It's silence, and then there's a huge sound burst that's not designed to scare you. It's designed to startle you.
Yeah.
And being startled is not the same as being scared.
Yeah.
And so I think they've, most modern horror movies have really lost that. Or like, the bat. I think there was one called The Nun, and the person's walking down the hall, and it's a trope now. You look one way, there's nothing there. You look over here, there's nothing there. You turn to walk back that way, and now it's there. You know it's coming because you've seen it a million times before. So those are really pitfalls that I would like DMs to stay away from when they're running their horror games. Stay away from the tropes because your players know those tropes too.
Yeah, that's fair. I think kind of to your point about sound, we tend to describe things by sight, right? Like, oh, you see this magical tower and it's got these minarets and da-da-da-da-da. But with horror, you want to like focus on the other senses. Sound and smell, I think, are really good. And just speaking of slasher films, A Violent Nature, I watched maybe 6 months ago, and it's from the slasher dude, the Jason Voorhees character's perspective. So the camera is behind this hulking figure entire time, and there's no music. You just hear him walking through the forest, and then all of a sudden you hear the kids by the pond. They start to get louder as he's getting closer. And then the cool stuff happens and they start getting cut up. But it was a really interesting use of sound. Because at first I was like, what the heck am I watching? What is this?
What's the name of that?
A Violent Nature, or In a Violent Nature, something like that. Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic. And there's like it literally is sort of like watching a slasher film from like the opposite perspective. It's really cool, but it just kind of drove the point home about how sound, because after a while, like you're following this guy, but you just kind of get sucked in because you're just hearing the sounds of the forest, his crunching boot feet, and then all of a sudden in the distance you hear the campers. Then they get louder as he's getting closer, and then you at first they have no idea they're being watched. But as the movie goes on and the body count starts rising, you hear them being scared. Oh my God, is there something out there? It was really excellent use of sound. So to your point, Jason, man, like you got to use the other senses appropriately.
Yeah. The Eclectic Goat here says slasher flicks are the fast food of horror.
Totally true.
I think if they're done right, they can be.
Yeah.
Go watch in A Violent Nature.
I think everything in 80s and mid 90s, it was all about slasher flicks, and then things like Paranormal Activity came around, all about the shock value and the jump starts, and that's what everybody kind of gravitated to.
It's used too much. Jump
scares. It is. Yeah, it's way too much.
I have not had a chance to see Backrooms yet.
Yeah, I've not seen Backrooms or Iron Lung.
The first 2/3 are good.
With Backrooms, I don't know. I may end up watching that with my daughter or something once it comes out.
Yeah, I didn't think it stuck the landing, but the first 2/3 are pretty cool. You made me think about something fantasy horror. I think the moment this is going back a long ways now, but the first Lord of the Rings movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, I think the moment I realized, okay, this movie is going to be really good, is when the hobbits are on the road and they have to hide from the Nazgul under the tree, and the sound cues and the way the color fades out and the bugs, the creepy crawly bugs start, and it's like the horse breathing. And I was like, oh yeah, this is actually going to be good.
And they repeat that effect every time you put
they
the
do
ring on.
yeah,
Every time
and
you put the ring on.
they make those guys really creepy and disturbing. I just think that that's a good, if you want to think about how do you get some horror going in your fantasy stuff. I mean, yeah, you can have goofy rotoscoped cartoon, whatever version of Lord of the Rings, and those are fun. But there's also the version that has that kind of, I think The Hobbit like fails at that, right? Where it has these goofy CGI cartoony Goblin King and all that stuff. That to me was like had the opposite effect of the Nazgul in the first three, where it's like, well, this is just cartoony tomfoolery. This doesn't affect me the same way. So yeah, to your point about sensory stuff, it's not just that the monster shows up, it's all the ancillary stuff that happens along with it. The way the colors start to fade out. You suddenly realize where did all these bugs come from?
Right.
That stuff is really good. I actually get angry with myself all the time when I run games for not leaning into that stuff more. Exactly what you're saying. You're just describing, you see this, you see this, you see this. And it's so much more powerful to lean into the other senses.
Yeah. Well, number first, like in Haunting of Ashenshire, one of the things that the witch will do is she'll knock 3 times. I borrowed that from The Conjuring. So when I ran that at North Texas Con this past summer, you're going down this dark hallway, and then I just slammed on the table like 3 times. You hear this whack, whack, whack down the hall, and everyone's like, should we go down the hall? But when I was running my Lamentations of Elemental Evil campaign, I basically took Temple of Elemental Evil, but used Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Every time the players walked into the trading post, which has got the 2, they're basically spies for the cult, I would always describe the smell of the place as kind of like this musty peat odor, something kind of earthy, kind of like hinting at the demon queen of fungus that's at the bottom of the temple of elemental evil. And I also described them as having like these scarves around their necks, and then when they took the scarves away, they saw all this fungus growth. But anyway, I would always do that, and at first they didn't pick up on it. They were just like, oh, okay, well, whatever. And then one day, I think it was my buddy Cody actually said to me, he said to the party, goes, he keeps saying that every time we go in there. And they're like, huh. Yeah. And then they all of a sudden started paying closer attention to the trading post guys. So yeah, I think that stuff adds so much, not even just in a horror sense, but just like characterization and all that stuff. So but yeah, sounds and smells.
Have you guys powerful. You ever seen Annihilation?
Yeah, I have.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation? What?
No.
Well,
it's based on the first book of the Southern Reach series. It's good. The movie's decent. It's pretty good. I think the book is better, but the type of horror it is either will hit with you or it doesn't. It's got a lot to do with facing your biggest fears and like what makes us, like giving yourself over to the thing that you fear the most, and like loss of your bodily agency and things like that. It's got that really good. It has I always forget the name of the monster. It's the bear that has like the other mouth that can replicate the voice of the things that it eats. So like it eats something, and then it uses the voice of the thing that it killed to like call for help, and that's how it gets more victims. Anyway, it has one of those in it. But there's a repeating sound like cue that's in that movie that is, it's like it's the theme of the alien in it. That is one of the creepiest and most disturbing like sound effects or themes that I've ever heard in a movie. And you know it's good because they use it in YouTube shorts and Facebook, YouTube like reels and all these kind of short videos. It's one of the sound effects that they'll use to like make you immediately feel a creepy feeling. So even though the movie's like a maybe 6.5 out of 10, like it's got a 10 out of 10 sound design. And it's sort of is a good example of how that kind of stuff can elevate something that's okay to be even better than that, just because it really sticks with you. Like every time you hear that Forevermore, you'll immediately go like, ugh. It's like just one of those creepy things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the eclectic goat here says original Nightmare on Elm Street isn't a slasher, it's about the deaths. You know, you could say the same thing. I don't know. I think it's more of a slasher still, but with some like investigative stuff. And then Shellback mentions, you know, the Alien series. You know, there's something in common there that like the first of a series of movies can be like this kind of horror investigative thing where like the horror is, you know, like like you don't know what's going on, right? There's little clues about what the evil entity is or whatever, and it slowly gets, you know, leaked. You find out like a little more, and then finally this thing where whatever it is, whether it's Freddy or Jason or one of the aliens or whatever, like that makes the appearance, and it's like, holy shit, this thing, and blah blah blah, and it's, you know, and then it's like stalking you or whatever. But then as soon as you make the second Aliens movie, the second Friday the 13th, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the 20th, like you can never do that again, right? You can't, because even if you try to, like, everybody knows like what the thing is, right? They know what the evil entity looks like. You know, like you can only bury the clown in the sewer for so long, right? until like, you know, until Tim Curry comes out looking like a total goofball, and then you're like, oh, what was that? You know, but as soon as it appears, you know, and it's there, like you can't get that back, because there's no, you know, it's not a horror now, it's like an action thing.
I would have loved to have been at the table the first time a group of goblins attacked, you know, the Blackmore bunch or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because I would have been like, what are these things? Oh my God. But now you're like, oh, they're goblins.
Yeah.
Just make sure there's not too many of them, and we
like,
should
what are
be
these
fine,
tiny green demonic things with spears and like whatever, and it's like, yeah.
And
and now it's like, oh, goblins. Yeah.
But that's like the reason why, like, the second alien movie, Aliens, was really more of an action film. They had horror elements, obviously, but I will defend the third Alien movie, because I felt it added more lore to the universe, even though it was sort of overall. But yeah, I mean, because you're absolutely right. Like, James Raggi, like, I don't know, like a year ago, put out a video about the very first Friday the 13th, and he just said, you know, we're kind of cynical, we're used to seeing this stuff, but he made a really good point. He's like, imagine being a teenager in, like, whatever it was, late 70s, early 80s, first time watching that, because that was one of the first times murders were just happening to random people, and it was kids at a camp, you know, chasing after tail. And it's just like, that could happen to you. That would have been absolutely terrifying. And then, of course, the reveal at the end, it comes out of the water. Oh, I wish I could have been in the theater the very first time that was shown. You know what I mean? So,
no, it's like seeing Halloween as a kid. The whole the POV shots, like you were just talking about, like Halloween's full of those POV shots where it puts you behind the mask and you hear the breathing. And another one with like very simple, you know, John Carpenter's kind of simple score for that, but just that recurring score, there's something about it that gets in your head, and every time you hear that music, it just unsettles you. And the whole thing with him being like a kind of a creeper, like where he's, you know, in Dead by Daylight, that's how he powers up. You got to walk around and just stare at people, you know, and watch that. It's like he's a creeper that way. There's something different about that. But yeah, then to your point, the seventh time on, it's just like, yeah, right, we know what this is.
Yeah, you can't like hide that like anymore. And like, and they've tried with like the Alien movies. Like, obviously Alien like was, you know, like the horror movie, and then Aliens and
Action.
Alien 3 or whatever. Those are definitely action movies, right? And then they tried to go back to like the creepy horror like a little bit. And I don't know, it just doesn't work, because like, oh, well, we'll change this and do, but it doesn't, it doesn't do anything because, it doesn't hit home like it did, before. The Eclectic Go, yeah, what, I guess you're going to be on her show there at some point.
Actually checking my calendar out. It's in August, a couple of weeks. Looking forward to that.
Well, I mean, if you want the rest of us on, I mean, all you got to do is ask. I mean, we're all.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
We're happy to
I have a lot of free time.
Jump on. Give me. I don't know. I don't know if you're on Facebook. You could find me on Facebook. Shoot me a message. You could find me on Discord. I'm Judge Roger, Roger Rebus on Facebook, or whatever. You find me on the Central New York RPG Convention Discord or the Facebook page there. Shoot me a message or whatever, or cnyrpgcon@gmail.com. I guess I probably should check that and make sure that it's cnyrpgcon at gmail.com. But yeah, shoot me cnyrpgcon@gmail.com, or Game Master Rogers Neighborhood @gmail.com. So, there's all the ways to get a hold of me, and I can pass on information to these guys, or find me on Discord. We can, get you whatever you want to do. Yeah, we'll come on your show, talk about, whatever. Talk about the convention, talk about gaming. Don't get Jason going on Lucerne Hammers unless you want unless you want a 3-hour episode on
I
that
can
sort
talk
of
about
thing.
other
Maybe
weapons
you do.
than the Lucerne Hammer.
Oh, okay.
And Edgelord, the greatest American heroes, William Catt, you're welcome. I love that shit.
It's funny talking about Alien. I think because we've all seen so much Alien stuff, we probably sort of don't appreciate how creepy the first one actually is.
Right.
The face hugger thing, and then their blood is acid, and they steal people and run them off and build them into this hive where they use their bodies to implant their eggs. I mean, all that stuff is like absolutely terrifying stuff.
Right.
The problem is sorry, go ahead.
No, and you never see the xenomorph in full because it's a cheap rubber costume, and they knew that. So you hide it in the shadows. You get flashes of it moving. That's scary as hell.
Yeah.
So when you get to the latter movies where you see the xenomorph running around, oh, well, now I know what this is, and it's not nearly as scary as it used to be.
Yeah, they tried to make it scary by, well, we'll have lots of them because now we have better special effects. We can have 50 little ones running around. Then they said, well, what if we have ones that are weirder hybrids? And then what if we just have weird black goo? And what if we have these giant jumbo? But I will say the one really good monster that they did kind of hit on is in that Alien Earth. If you watch that show at all, there's the eyeball guy is probably the best monster I've seen in many years. It's so creepy. It's this alien. It's this eyeball that is basically like it's like a fly's eye. It's a whole bunch of little eyeballs that can merge into kind of one big eyeball, but it has these little stalks that come off of it. And what it does is it crawls up on any kind of living creature and pops their eye out and implants itself and takes over their body. Creepy as hell.
Yeah. It's hyper intelligent.
Yeah.
And like, it just, the whole show, it's just watching everybody.
Oh,
and then it makes its move.
Wow.
It's like, oh, I love that little guy.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And it's just fun. But, thinking about, they tried so many different things in between, and they finally hit on one there that I was like, make a show about that. Where did this thing come from? I want a movie about this. Yeah. So,
did you guys see Killers?
Which one?
Or not Killers. What is it? Weapons?
Weapons was good. Yeah, Weapons
was good. I liked the way they did that because, that's. I like movies when they you don't immediately know what the danger is. You don't know what what's causing it, and you don't find out till late in the movie.
Yeah.
Shit starts getting crazy and things happen, but you don't know why.
I
feel like movies these days telegraph way too much what's going
Oh,
on
sure.
early in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Weapons is good,
absolutely.
and Barbarian was his movie before that. That one's good too. It's
I
also
haven't seen that.
creepy.
I have that on digital. I have not seen it yet. I've heard it's good though.
Creepy. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I like
creepy.
Weapons better
Yeah.
than Barbarian, but that was good.
Weapons
and-
would have been better if one more person had died. What did they not kill a lot of people?
They killed a decent amount of people, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe there's just one crappy character that needed to die that didn't.
Yeah,
possibly.
maybe.
But kind of going back to the Alien, what made it effective
Yeah.
too, besides from like the psychosexual implications of like if all
Being
that stuff.
violated, yeah.
Yeah, they subverted a lot of tropes too. Like when I was watching it the first time, I thought the captain. I mean, call me a sexist if you will, but I thought the captain was going to be the hero, and he was like. I remember being like my jaw hitting the floor when he's like going down, and they're using the tracking device, and they're like, "It's Dallas, it's coming right towards you," and he's trying to find a way up. Then he opens up the one hall, and it's like right there, and it gets him. And I'm just like, oh no, what's gonna happen now? They're all doomed. So like the tropes got subverted, and Sigourney Weaver, of course, saved the day. But like that, like really at that's when you knew like the stakes were real. And that kind of goes back to also like what we were talking about earlier about the fragility of the player characters, right? And making sure that like, you know, you gotta like let them be hurt so they can like understand the danger. And I think that's just not good. That's good advice, not just for horror, but just like if you want your orcs to be scary, you know, if you want your orcs to be like a threat, you got to make them brutal, and you got to make sure like players get killed, or not players, excuse me, characters get killed, you know, and like maybe favorite NPCs get killed. So to drive some of that stuff home. But yeah.
Speaking
I
of
think
scary, Agile Monk is always in the background watching. So what? Is he? Oh, what's that?
One of the movies that actually really did creep me out was The Ring. And one of the things that I really liked about it is the first 2/3 of the movie, you think that the mom is rescuing this poor trapped child that's been down in this well. And what you think, or at least what I thought, was the end of the movie. And I remember thinking, well, it's kind of short. They pull the girl's body out, and then you see the mom with her son, and she says, "It's over now. We rescued her." And her son looks at her and says, "You aren't supposed to help her." And I was like, oh, shit.
Yep.
Now comes the scary part. You know, and then, of course, then the girl comes out of the TV screen and all that. That's fine, whatever. But just that scene where that revelation hits, and the kid who was just really good in the movie says you're not supposed to help her, I was like, oh, that completely changed the movie for me. So if you can work something like that into a game where your characters, especially me, who's always the good guy, thoroughly believes I'm helping, I'm doing the right thing, and then drop the hammer on them, that's soul crushing. And boy, that's really good horror.
They kind of did that in I don't want to spoil it. I know it's been a while now, but like 10 Cloverfield Lane, like they did the opposite kind of thing where you know, the girl like wakes up in the bunker or whatever, and the guy's like, "Oh, I rescued you" or whatever, and like then they go through that whole thing, and it's like it's pretty good because you're not sure what's going on. You're like, who's like the bad guy? Is it this other guy? Is it the old guy? Is it
Goodman in it?
Yeah.
Oh, he was brilliant in that.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Really good. Yeah, he's really
awesome.
good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I know, Matt, you're big on Mothership. And I'm surprised you didn't bring this up before I did, but fairy tale horror role playing.
Oh, Father Fog. Yeah.
I just saw.
Did you pick this up or?
I have it. I haven't read it yet. I watched a little video about it. It definitely sounds interesting. The challenge I have with that is just I think it's more. I don't think it's just pure fantasy. I think it's a little bit more steampunky, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. But, I mean, they call it fairy tale, but yeah.
I think I think that genre is just a little bit more crowded. The thing that is great about Mothership is it's filling a hole that kind of existed there, where we've all seen. I mean, we just rattled off a whole bunch of sci-fi fantasy or sci-fi horror movies, a lot of which everybody has seen and are huge. And it's like, well, why isn't there a game that does this? But then if you go, oh, I want to play like fairy tale fantasy horror, it's like, oh, are you talking about Dolmenwood? No, I'm talking about. Oh, you're talking about Symbaroum?
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about that. It's like there's just a bunch of games that are already out there. Now, I mean, obviously, I like Mothership so much, and it's using that same engine, so I bought it. I'm gonna check it out. I just have a hard time thinking it's gonna blow up the way Mothership did.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. That's actually a very astute observation. I only just learned about it today because I'm like researching, getting ready for my own campaign of Mothership, and I'm like, oh, they did a thing that's in another genre. I'm like,
yeah.
Well, there's other things that do that, and I've actually had this conversation with other people about other games. I'm like, I have my fantasy games. You know what I mean? I have my fantasy horror. You know, I don't really need to be buying like all these other stuff. Part of me curating and not blowing my wallet on every single Kickstarter that comes along. But yeah, I think that's a fair observation on that game. So
yeah, no, it's not fantasy, but we talked about Vaesen a bunch last week. It was on a bunch of our lists. I mean, that's a similar thing. Like, there's just a lot of games kind of out there in that space that scratch a similar itch. So
I like that they do this. They got the hope and despair kind of thing, and so like every time like something bad happens, or you come across like an enemy you haven't seen or whatever, you roll a hope save, and it could lower your hope score until you get into like despair, and then there's like a whole list of like things that can happen where you lose hope, and then like it causes the people you're with to lose like hope, because you're kind of bringing them down, or there's a whole bunch of different effects that kind of happens, and like you don't, like, they explicitly tell you like, hey, if you're a player, don't look at this page that has all the effects on it, because there's things where like if other people touch you, or like if certain things happen, like they also lose hope or whatever. And so it's kind of interesting that they do that. I know it kind of like mechanically gives you like that sort of horror aspect or whatever, but it's interesting. I think it gives you like a decent like role playing kind of thing to go with, and then eventually like you get like you end up rolling a 1 on the despair check, and you just die, so
yeah, I mean, I think they're treating it like they did Mothership. They're calling this the 0 edition, so my guess is they're going to play test it and see if people make some content for it, and then if it does,
then they'll do a special edition box set on Kickstarter. Yep. Yeah, that'll definitely happen.
One trick that I've come across with horror stuff, if I'm trying to gauge like, is this somebody that I think will kind of hit with something I'm trying to run, or if they're running something, is just ask like, tell me 3 of your favorite horror movies, right? Because like I think a lot of my favorite horror movies definitely can tell you the exact type of games I'm trying to run, right? Because it's like, oh, The Fly, The Thing, Alien, Event Horizon, like you sort of know. So if somebody's like, oh, Hostel and Terrorizer and Friday the 13th, like exactly what you're in for.
Yeah.
So you can learn a lot about what somebody's, that kind of stuff from somebody's movie tastes. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I never really thought about like my favorite like horror movie. Like, it's not a genre of like movies that I really.
It's not one of my favorites either.
I'm drawn to.
Yeah, it's got to be very specific ones. Like The Thing is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's very much a horror movie,
awesome.
Or like Seven. Is Seven a horror movie? It's a suspense thriller, but like
there's some
pretty horrifying stuff in that movie. That kind of is what kind of I mean, that and the quality of the acting and everything, but it makes it something more special than all the other movies in that same genre.
Like strips the line into that. the same way that you brought it up earlier, True Detective season 1. It's like it kind of touches upon the supernatural, you know. It's like on all this like weird, potentially supernatural, you know. It's and all the weird, horrific shit that they encountered. But I think that's a good point too, because I there's so many different ways. There's so many different subgenres, if you will, of horror. That like I know, like Slither. I absolutely love that movie.
That's
but
a good movie.
I absolutely love that movie, but a lot of that was actually part of the inspiration for the second adventure in that anthology, Return of the White Wizard. Like a lot of people were just kind of like grossed out about it. That's why at North Texas Con, everyone was like, "Man, this is so gross." They had fun, but they're like, "Man, this is gross." A lot of mutation. But yeah, I love Slither, but I also love The Conjuring. Like the very first Conjuring movie, I was like, my arm. I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? I really love like a good supernatural horror, you know. So I run the gamut. Like I'm to the point where I'm starting to like take slasher films a little bit more seriously, especially after watching In a Violent Nature. I'm like, you know, I used to write them off, but you know what? Maybe there's some good ones out there. Maybe I should start watching a few more of them. You know? I don't know.
Yeah, Dawn of the
Dawn
Dead.
of the
horror.
Dead. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead horror.
Oh, absolutely.
What about like what about Tremors? Is that
I just watched that. Tremors
That's
is
just a fun
is
action
a
movie.
action.
Yeah.
I mean, Slither is kind of funny as well. It's intentionally funny, but Slither has that like hive mind kind of thing going on. Like if you watch Stranger Things, the probably the only thing in Stranger Things that actually really creeped me out in that whole series is, I think it's in season 3 when they're all like melting. They're getting like pod people replaced, and then there's a scene where they're all the replaced people are lined up in this huge queue, and one at a time they just walk up and like melt into a pile of goo and then get absorbed into the giant goo monster. Like there's that I don't know what that genre or whatever it is called, but Slither kind of has that thing where it's like they're creating this hive mind of all these people and then like body horror. Yeah.
It's like very much. It's kind of the hive mind, like out of something from out of space. That's in the vein of Lovecraft, I would say.
Yeah,
like that. It's something ineffable. We don't understand it. It's completely alien, and it's doing nasty things to us at the same time. Speaking of which, I actually liked Nick Cage in
Color from Outer Space.
Color from Outer Space.
Great.
I thought that was brilliant.
So good.
That was
Yeah,
actually the
yeah.
first time I've in a very long time where I actually walked away from the middle of the movie. It's the scene. Well, I'm not going to give it away in case anybody watches it. We'll just say mom and her son.
Yep.
I was just like, am I going to turn this off? I got to turn this off. But then I'm like, nope, I'm not a pussy. I got to watch this.
Yeah,
You know?
that was good.
Yeah.
I really liked that too.
I liked
thought
it.
That was
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah.
I liked it. I know a lot of people gave it bad reviews or whatever. I think it's hard to do, Lovecraftian horror, and even like in that movie, like they're asking like when he's telling the reporter or the police or whatever, and he's like, well, it was some kind of purple, or I don't know what color it was, and it's like they're trying to, when you read it, it's one thing, and they describe the undescribable.
Yeah.
Because you can read it. But then when like Nick Cage is like trying to like repeat it, he just sounds like
I know it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, like
saying, well, it was a color and I don't know what color it was. It was sort of bluish purple.
That's
but it really
why
wasn't
I don't
anything.
like Lovecraft. And we've talked about that before. I've read all those stories, so it's not like I just don't like it. Every one of them ends the same way.
Sure.
I got scared and I passed out. End of story. What kind of cheap crap is that? You can't describe it. You saw it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Give it a shot, dude. Do your best. See what you can come up with. It was indescribable. Oh, good God. Yeah, it's just so lame.
Yeah, we're trying to like.
I don't know why Lovecraft is so popular. I really don't understand it.
I like it. I mean, I think they're like trying to describe like a higher dimensional being or whatever that you can't. That's why you can't describe it, right? But whenever they've translated into like the movies and they actually have to put a visual on it, it's like not great. Yeah.
So like, okay, did you see The Mist?
Me?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one with
the one with Thomas Jane?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you like that movie?
Yes.
That's kind of a modernized Lovecraft. I mean, Annihilation is also the Southern Reach is about there's this anomaly. I forget if something like a comet or something. I forget something landed or whatever. But there's this area of territory that started out small and is expanding. And once you cross the event horizon into this space, the normal rules of nature and physics and reality start to break down. And it kills people in weird different ways that seem to be based on what their inner turmoil is, what's happening with them. Like the one woman has cancer and sort of gets annihilated into this. It's just what it mutates people in weird ways and kills them. But it's expanding. And so they just keep sending teams in, like hoping to figure out like what's going on. So yeah, it doesn't have the weird, like unpronounceable elder god names,
Right.
and it doesn't have the weird racism and stuff like that all the Lovecraft stories have. But there's this idea of there is a horror in understanding like how small the earth is in the scope of the universe, and then how small you are. Like we feel as a conscious being that like our world is us, like we are important and huge because that's all we know. But it's the idea of being faced with like, no, you're completely insignificant. Like they're like, whether it's intelligent or not, like a giant comet could come tomorrow and we'd all be dead. And like, nobody would ever know any of this ever happened. And like really wrapping your brain around that, like, well, why am I getting up and going to work? Like, what even is money? Like, what is going on? Like, it's just like there's a horror there that before him, kind of nobody expressed the same. I mean, other people kind of did, like the King in Yellow and
You're right.
Black God's Kiss. Like, there's some other ones, but he's kind of the one that sort of broke that out. So I agree with you. Actually, reading his stuff is like pain. It's not enjoyable. It's not. Yeah. But there's something to. Yeah, there's a concept there. I think that like when it's utilized the right way is unique. It's a unique and different kind of horror, which I like. So yeah, I don't disagree with you. Like I definitely don't sit down every like once a week. Like, oh, I'm gonna read my favorite Lovecraft book. That like they are a slog to read. You're totally right about that.
Okay, cool.
Edgelord says that Matt gets it about comic horror.
Clearly a typo.
Cosmic, yeah. Comic horror.
You were talking about being insignificant in the face of the universe. Related, but totally not related. I was at the VA a while ago, and I was talking to a nurse, and I was telling her about Alaska. Anytime I talk about Alaska, I get very enthusiastic about it. And she said, "So, what was it about Alaska that you like so much?" And my usual answer is everything, because honestly, except for the mosquitoes, I loved everything about Alaska. But after, I was sitting there thinking about it, and she came back, and I said, "I figured out what I like about Alaska." And she was like, "Oh, what?" I said, "It makes me feel small. Everything in Alaska will kill you if you step out of line." And I like that. I was in the Army. I was much younger. I was full of myself. I have never shied from the fact that I still am very arrogant. I can take care of myself. So I always felt big. People don't scare me. They never have. The first day I stepped foot in Alaska and I saw the vastness of it, and I knew what was out there, the wolves, the bears, everything. This place makes me feel insignificant, and I really liked that feeling. I don't want to feel it 24/7, but stepping into something like that, I was like, my God, this is amazing. So it was really a different position for me. So the whole thing, feeling insignificant in the universe, I totally agree with you.
What about Glorious? Have you guys see that one? I don't know if that's that's another like comedy horror.
I don't think I've seen that
type of thing. Glorious. It's I thought it was really great. I mean, I don't know. I'm a weirdo though, but it's sort of like Lovecraftian. This guy stops at a rest stop bathroom, like on a highway, like type of thing, and he goes in the bathroom, and basically there's J.K. Simmons voices a like this elder god.
It's a glory hole, isn't it?
That's in the yeah. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a
sorry, I guess.
But there is a glory hole with tentacles drawn around it, in which
Are you sure this is in the Lamentations module?
J.K.
Yeah,
Simmons
right.
is talking to this guy.
If it wasn't before it, it's about to be.
Yeah,
and it's no, I
write
think
that
it's
down.
I don't know. It's not really horror, I guess, but it's like Lovecraftian. I thought they did a really good job, kind of with it. I don't know. It's just interesting. I didn't know if you guys saw it or not, but it's I don't know.
You told me about
watch
that a
the
while
trailer.
ago.
Yeah, it's so
and,
weird.
and I was like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah,
it's just so far out of my wheelhouse, man.
Yeah.
And he's like stopped in the thing. But yeah, I mean, it's like a joke. You know, it's sort of like a funny thing. And like I said, it's J.K. Simmons' voice.
Sure, he's great.
This
Yeah,
other
he's
guy.
great in
But they
everything.
there's a part in it where he tells the guy how to pronounce his name. And he like tells the guy to like hold his tongue and like say certain words and like all this. And it's like it's kind of like it's like a you know, I mean, it's definitely like poking at Lovecraft and like his weird kind of names and all that. And then I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. It's an interesting take on the whole Lovecraft thing. But yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know, my opinion. Go check it out. It's, you know, yes, there's a glory hole in it. It's called Glorious. Yeah.
I will check it out. That sounds.
Check it out and let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know if you wasted 2 hours of your life.
I'm a horror movie buff. I just saw a meme where it's like waste hundreds of hours of time looking for that one good one. You know, and it's like, yeah, that's very true.
If you want a list of good horror movies, do you know who David Beatty is? The guy that did Weird Frontiers?
Mm-hmm.
He is a huge horror fan. So if you go friend him on Facebook, he's got thousands of friends because of Weird Frontiers. But every Halloween, he makes a list of horror movies. And he gives really detailed reviews of them. So if you connect with him, he can give you a boatload of great horror movies to watch.
Huh.
Yeah.
There you go. Plug in Weird Frontiers. It's great. Play it.
It is really good.
I have it. Yeah. Speaking of like the feeling of insignificance and whatnot, kind of go back to the horror gaming, specifically sci-fi. When I was running my Alien RPG game, I didn't want to just make it all about the xenomorph, so I was actually blending a lot of ideas from Mothership. So they were encountering other things, but I had watched some video documentary on Netflix like a year prior, where it basically explained all the ways the cosmos could kill you, whether it's like a gamma burst that fries the planet or whatever, you know, roving black holes and things like that. So I was actually incorporating a lot of, I created my own like encounter tables while they were space crawling, right? So they would they would be encountering things that were scary, but not at all monstrous, not at all alien. It was just, hey, sensors are going off. You're being woken up from cryosleep because an uncharted planetoid is heading straight for the ship. Get up and start working, you know, and trying to save yourself. And I'm going to try to incorporate that more into Mothership as well, because I think space itself is scary. And I'm going to consider this a horror movie. Maybe it isn't. We can discuss this, but Sunshine, I think.
Oh, it's hard.
That one is just, it's just mankind facing space and trying to, like, they're on this like impossible mission, and each one of them starts losing their mind, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And that's, to me, like, that's how I want to run a sci-fi horror game. It's like, yeah, there's going to be aliens, but this is the real thing you got to be worrying about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing I love about Sunshine is the weird thing we all sort of know but don't think about at all, which is the sun, which is the reason why we're alive. If you look at it for 30 seconds, you burn your eyes out. And for certainly all the people on this call, you go hang out outside for too long, your skin's going to burn off. Like, so you know, Sunshine, they're flying their little spaceship all the way directly to the sun. And think about placing yourself, the scope of you in the against the universe. The closer you get to it, it's like, imagine what that must look like when you're looking out the viewport or whatever. Like, it's just like, wow, I can't. And it's just, some of them go crazy from that. So I was going to say too, Midsommar is probably the last movie that I watched that really kind of creeped me out. Like that one, that's a good movie in terms of evoking like the mood of. I'm not sure why I know something is wrong here already, even though nothing bad has happened, and something bad, and then bad things just keep happening, and it's like, oh, this just keeps getting worse and creepier. Yeah, that's another one
That's a
that
good
I like.
one.
And then someone mentioned Ex Machina. That's a great movie. That's a really, really, really good movie too.
Yeah.
So,
and Goat also mentioned Cabin in the Woods. I
Yes.
saw that in the theater. A friend of
Good
mine
one.
dragged me to it. I had no interest in seeing it. Man, what a great movie!
Really cool.
It has one. It's hilarious, which I didn't
Is that
see
the one
coming.
with the scientists and they're
Yes,
they're putting
they've
different,
got this
okay.
Cthulhu
Like the
monster
underground.
underneath the cabin that they have
They
to
got-
feed it. You have to feed it teenagers every now and then or whatever, and and like whatever device they pick up triggers the monster to come out of his holding cell.
Yeah, okay.
I love it when the one scientist is like he's betting constantly on like the fish monster thing. He constantly and it never happens. At the end of the movie, the fish monster breaks out and attacks him. And he goes, "Oh man, I just that was hilarious to me." And
great movie.
Yeah.
and I love that the main girl, the lead, when I think it's Sigourney Weaver tells her the whole story, she's like, "Nah, piss off, I'm not doing that." And it's like she's not going to save everybody. Like shit's about to throw down now. It was such a cool ending. Great movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Knock at the Cabin. I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't like it. That was the M. Night Shyamalan one.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I don't want to spoil why, but
I watched it and it wasn't very memorable. I can't remember the whole.
Yeah, it was the one where it's Rupert Grint and Dave Bautista. Yeah, and they knock on the thing and they're like, "Oh,
yeah, I know what the movie is," and I watched it, but I can't tell you details. That's how memorable
it was. It was. I didn't like it, and
Yeah,
then the twist that they did was. I mean, it's M. Night Shyamalan. You know that there's a twist. But it just wasn't great.
The one where about the kids staying at the grandparents' house, though, I thought was pretty good. I can't remember what it was called, The Stay, I think, or something like that.
I haven't seen that.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that kind of flew under the radar. It was actually pretty remarkably good, and it was creepy. The twist was a good twist, but if you're a horror fan, you might see it coming, kind of thing. But it's also got some humorous points too. I would recommend. I think it's called The Stay. I remember watching it in the movie theater with my now wife, and we were both kind of laughing, but also kind of like creeped out by it and stuff. But that was a good one. That was a good one. I like M. Night Shyamalan for the most part. His earlier stuff was better, and I liked his take on supers.
I mean, I like some of his stuff, right? Like don't get me wrong, but like. He's running out of or ran out of tricks here. Like,
I agree.
Like if you watch his movie, it's like you're like, okay, there's going to be a twist ending. It's going to flip everything upside down. Like, what's it going to be? And you can almost try and like figure it out. And oh, okay, this is happening or whatever. And I mean,
what he needed to do to keep that alive was. Do 2 or 3 of your twist movies, and then when people start getting used to it, make a movie that doesn't have a twist. Make a straight movie, because that will catch people off guard because they're waiting for that twist. So then you do a couple more of those, and then you put another twist movie out there, and they catch it. So you just have to keep yanking them back every time. But he hasn't done that. Every movie is it's M. Night Shyamalan. It's
I don't want to call him a one-trick pony, but
he is. He's totally a one-trick pony. His trick is very cool at times. But it kind of got old.
Yeah,
there was a movie came out in '87, Wes Craven movie that I absolutely love it. It's definitely horror, and that's Serpent in the Rainbow.
That is a good movie. I just rewatched it like almost a year ago because I hadn't seen it in like 20 years. That is a good movie.
Yeah, go watch it if you haven't seen it. There was another movie that it's not really listed as horror, more as psychological thriller, but it was from the 80s. They redid it later, like 2014 or something. But I remember as a kid watching Flowers in the Attic, and that movie kind of creeped me out.
Okay, yeah.
Kids locked up in the attic, and the the stepmother like abused the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And whatnot, and they locked him in. It was a creepy movie.
Yeah, right.
But
I
but
remember like
back then
yeah,
they
they
didn't go
had to do some
overboard trying
crazy.
to shock you and everything. It was the buildup and the
Yeah. And like the way they were surviving and stuff up there, it was like some crazy stuff going on. Yeah.
The movie was kind of uneven, but the Nosferatu that came out a couple years ago, if you guys saw that,
Yep.
the thing that really grabbed me about that I think does not come through in a lot of similar movies, because there's a lot of vampire movies with vampires and other things that are supposed to be able to, essentially cast charm person, right? But like watching that movie felt there were times in it where it felt like the narrator has clearly had charm person cast on him. Like he's seeing things that are not actually there, or he's losing time is passing and he's lost it. He doesn't know what's happened, where he's been, why these like that. There's something very creepy about the way that they portrayed that I think is something that I want to try to take away into if I ever run a monster like that in a game. There's something very creepy about that, where it's like you're mid conversation and then it cuts and now you're all in a different place. And it's like, whoa, what happened? Well, you got original sleep, or you had charm person cast on you or something, right? Like,
yeah, and the original Dracula story is like that, and they really stuck to the original book in this version. It's one of the reasons Depp, whatever her name is not a good actress.
Lily Rose Depp.
Lily,
no.
yeah, I thought they could have picked a million other women to play her role and have done better. But the movie I thought was great because the book reads like that. The first part when John Harker is talking, he's present. He knows what he's doing. Once he gets to the castle, Dracula feeds on him. Then his wives feed on him repeatedly. So he's drained. He's incoherent. He doesn't really know what's going on. And then it cuts. He's in the castle, and you don't know what's going on with him. Next thing you know, you're in Reinfeld? Is that the scientist's name? And he has had charm person cast on him. Basically, he's preparing London for his lord's arrival. Man, what a good horror story, because so many people really don't know what's going on. Oh, just excellent. And I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
Anyway. That one's on my list. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's great.
So it's not something anybody else is really interested in the house. You know what I mean? Like nobody else wants to watch it. So.
It's a great movie though. Yeah.
I mean, he's an interesting director. Like The Lighthouse is a very strange movie too. And I don't know if I liked that movie or not, but
I'm ambivalent as well.
Yeah, but there are parts of it that are really, really good. And there are parts that I could have definitely lived without ever having seen. So I don't know, but yeah. So it's pretty good though.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. A lot of good horror movies out there. Yeah. Maybe we should start doing movie reviews. Not on Tuesdays. I mean, do another live stream.
I'm down.
Well, the thing about it, right, is so, you watch, you were talking about like CNY Con, like what fantasy movie are we going to watch? Like you take away a lot of, there's a lot that you take away from that, I think, and bring to your games. Even if we say, well, we're not trying to, when we're running games, we're not trying to be a movie director that has a script. We're trying to run railroad adventures that tell a story. Nevertheless, there's a lot of stuff that you're taking from these things. Like there's moments in movies and themes and feelings that you're trying to evoke in the games that you run. So I think that's definitely true of horror also.
Edgelord wants to review Samurai Cop.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much
there you go.
Not sure how much I take from that to my games, but that's fair.
It is an excellent trash piece.
Whenever Gary and I are interviewing someone, content creator on our show, and they're the first time on the show, I always ask them what their personal appendix N is. Like, what are the books, movies, songs, poems, art, whatever that's influenced you, that makes you, that influence your writing, that you bring to the table, and that sort of thing, because that's exactly what we do, and we're running a game, all that stuff. And I think it's good to meditate on that if you've never thought about it before. What is my appendix N? And you might surprise yourself.
Yeah,
mostly Kung Fury, I think, but
oh yeah, Kung Fury. Oh yeah, Whatever happened to the sequel got
The
like
sequel? I don't
squashed or
know.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because they had like a trailer for it, and like Arnold
Yeah,
was
whatever
gonna be in
happened
it.
to that?
Yeah, and it never materialized. I don't know, but oh yeah, what a great movie! What a great movie! And then they did the music video there or whatever with Hasselhoff.
Oh,
Oh man.
Oh yeah,
man,
it's stuck
good
in
stuff.
it's stuck in legal limbo because
Yeah.
it needed final effects, but there's a lawsuit that's a shame. Well,
Oh jeez. Yeah, lawsuit for what? It's like, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it sucks. They should just finish it and just do it. Just put it out there, you know. Oh man, yeah, good stuff. So yeah, wow. So we hit the 3 hour mark. Talking about horror, you know, 3 hours of focused discussion.
For the most
We
part.
like
for the
to
most
say.
part, yeah, I'd say. Yeah.
No, we
With a
did
little
good.
Trumpian weave going on at
We
times.
did good. Yeah, that's what happens. But any final thoughts? Let me ask this: if you had to do one thing to make a horror game, what's the one thing that you would do to make it? Like, what's the one most important thing to make to run a horror RPG? What do you think, Mike? You got anything?
You got to figure out how to actually scare your players. You know, if it's just mechanical, it's just part of the game. It's just another D&D game or whatever. You got to find a way to scare them.
Yeah.
You know, to get them into their characters and make them actually fear what could happen to them.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Which I mean, listen, if you're playing games like Shadow Dark that are brutal and deadly, I don't think you're ever going to accomplish that. They're used to it. They're ready to die.
Yeah.
You know, they know that it could happen on any dice roll. So what's really going to scare them?
Yeah.
I think it's different when you get into like a long-term campaign with characters that, you know, they really are into.
Sure.
They're going to be more careful and more fearful of what could happen.
Yeah. Jason, what do you think?
When you're running, just be really careful that you don't go from horror to camp, or you go from Friday the 13th to Jason X.
Yeah. That's a tough
Yeah.
that's a tough line. And that's tough for me because I lean towards Jason X. You know what I mean? Like really easily, like, because that's the direction that I want to go, you know.
Yeah.
I mean-
For me, Goat just nailed it. Scared them so badly they become the worst enemies.
What?
Where the players start making mistakes through their own detriment.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've got them on the ropes.
Jason's very right. WotC couldn't figure it out. He went from this to this.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I actually agree with Edgelord's last comment wholeheartedly. You're right. If you're
Jason
playing,
X was fun.
no, well, that's true too. But if you're playing Shadow Dark and it's a meat grinder and people are just dying left and right, like sure, that's not scary. But if the game is lethal and the players know it's lethal, but the deaths are not frequent or cheap, it's just that it's omnipresent that they could die. Then you get attached to your character, and if they die or something terrible happens to them, I mean, part of the thing in Call of Cthulhu, I don't love how they treat sanity, but the whole thing is like there's another way. Is that a fate worse than death? Like your character's not dead, but they're not playable anymore because as soon as they see anything happen, they lose their mind. And it's that darkest dungeon idea of how long do you ride this character out before they just become a detriment to the rest of the team? And then you as a player are having to decide, like, am I going to take this broken racehorse out yet again and know that they,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like that is, I think for me, the most important thing is it's that combination of attachment, the ability to become attached, but also watching that person deteriorate and knowing that they can get killed.
Hey, I'm Joe. Yeah, we're gonna
First choice.
we're going to talk about these guys in like 30 seconds. Lord Matteus, what do you got? What's most important?
What I would do is don't be afraid to put your players in impossible situations, and force them to make real choices, life or death choices. And I think when you're doing that, don't forget the other four senses, because you're definitely going to be talking about what they're seeing. And I think that will certainly ramp things up. Meaningful life or death choices, even if it's not even their death and their life. To Warden Matt's point, like a favorite NPC, their pet dog, their grandmother, whatever. You know what I mean? I think that'll do it. Because it's about anxiety. Like, unless you're going to bring a loaded gun to the table, which I don't recommend you do, no one's going to feel flight or fight, because they're all sitting around stuffing their mouths with Cheetos, drinking beer, whatever. But if you can make them feel anxious and really concerned about what's going to happen next, you've succeeded. Oh, and I did want to mention something. Roger, you mentioned at the very beginning, people laughing at the table. Don't confuse nervous giggles for a failed horror scenario. People laugh when they get nervous.
Yeah, nervous giggles is totally normal.
Yeah.
So now,
I think people joke a lot in good horror games because they're trying to break that tension.
Exactly.
So,
yeah,
which is okay if to a certain point. Yeah.
So I think at this point, I have to say that Game Master Rogers' Neighborhood does not condone bringing a loaded firearm to a tabletop game.
Neither does Lord Matteus.
Yeah.
It was a joke. Don't clip that.
You bring your revolver. That's what Roger calls rolling a d6.
What I mean is, like, let's not pull a loaded firearm out and put it on the table and like spin it around.
This is my D7, Roger.
But no, for me, right, and especially after this conversation and stuff, I think one of the most important things is, is fear is in the unknown, right? So just leak that information slowly, right? Even if it's just a goblin that's causing a menace in a dungeon or whatever. Like, don't outright tell the players that, you know what I mean? You just, you slowly, have them, doing different things, whether he's hanging a sheet, right, with a fake ghost, right, like through a ceiling or whatever. You don't tell the players that. You just, they see something or they hear weird noises or whatever, and just keep them, guessing about that, so they don't know what the thing is. And I think that's one of the most important things. Real quick, I wanted to say, Emperor's Choice, they're going to be on next week. George and Dave are going to come on, and we're going to talk about the history of Arduin. I really want to get into talking about Dave Hargrave and the beginnings of Arduin, and really kind of dive into that. So that's going to be mostly George talking a lot. No, but we want to dig into that, and we're gonna kick off Arduin August. That's what I've been calling it. I don't know if it's catched on, but they're gonna be on several shows over the next couple months. So every time I talk to them about it, I call it Arduin August. So, love to talk about that. So that's next week. That's August 4th. I hope. But yeah, next Tuesday they'll be on, and we'll go from there. So other than that, I think that's it. Yeah, we can't. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that.
I would never do that.
And Dan, there's a reason. I guarantee there's a reason Restream is censoring you. Yeah. So. Lord Matteus, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It was
check
awesome.
Check out his channel, The Second Watch. What happened to the first watch, I don't know, but they're The Second Watch. Pick up afterwards. And if you guys want some really good horror adventures for Shadow Dark, check out Living Darkness Volume 1. Link to the drive-through there. Yeah, some cool stuff in there. Even if you just steal the whole witch table there. I think that's a great thing to take out of the book. There's a lot of other good stuff in there, and not just that, but that's a neat addition. So yeah, thanks for coming on. Go buy his stuff. Go subscribe to his channel and all of that. Check out his videos and stuff, especially the one with me in it.
Yeah.
So
Eh.
so thanks everybody for
Yes.
for coming, and I gotta get out of here before I get in trouble. We'll see you guys on the other side. We'll see everybody else next week. So take care, everybody.
Thanks
Take
for
it easy.
coming.